Chapter 199. Not much except he started killing 2 weeks ago. Until the Guardians decided to warn the people, the Duke kept Nightcrawler's existence a secret, one of the adventurers said, taking occasional sips of ale. Of course he kept it a secret. The Duke of Pentown has been kicking his ass since the beginning of this war. He didn't want to demoralize the soldiers further by telling them about Nightcrawler. How would you feel if you're fighting a war far away while someone might kill your family back at home? I would desert, a few of the adventurers shouted, raising their mugs together. Are the Guardians anywhere near catching this Nightcrawler? They've been investigating, the bushy-beard middle-aged man air quotes the words showing his disappointment with the Guardians. Who knows? It might be the Guardians who were doing the killing, as Lucifer said. What the fuck are you talking about? Everyone turned their gazes at the young man who just spoke. Don't tell me none of you went to Royal Land recently, the young man asked before slamming his empty mug on the table. Refill, he shouted at the bartender. 2 weeks ago I was at Royal Land doing an escort job. And while we were passing the town square we saw it. The youngster took a long sip. Saw what? A small army of Netherals. We all saw them carrying Minister Jerdy's body. The words Guardians stop pretending to be me, Lucifer was written on his body. The youngster finished his ale in one long gulp. Not only Michael but everyone in the tavern could tell that the youngster was pretty shaken up recalling the sight of a small army of Netherals. It might be anyone trying to blame the Guardians. From the corner of the tavern, someone said. I never said what happened next. The youngster slammed the mug again. When the Guardians approached the body, Jerdy's body exploded and the blood formed the words, Lucifer is watching everyone in the sky. Only Michael knew it was not blood but fireworks he brought from the system. It was obvious this youngster exaggerated the last part, but exaggeration would be good for Lucifer's reputation. Now tell me what or who could control the mindless Netherals and write in the sky in blood? I'd say it's Lucifer. Of course it's Lucifer. I heard of Jerdy. He was a real son of a bitch and I would say he got what he deserved. Lucifer, Nightcrawler, this world is really going towards a shit storm, a few adventurers sighed. What happened to the Netherals? What do you think? The Holy Guards smote them to hell. It's fucked up to even think the Guardians pretended to be Lucifer and killed those nobles. Not for me, I always knew the Guardians were up to no good. I'm glad that someone or something like Lucifer is going to keep them in like. If you ask me, I'd say let Lucifer hunt down all those fucking noble bastards. Most of them deserve worse than dead. Michael was slightly amused to see most of the adventurers in the tavern support Lucifer. If most people in the continent think like these adventurers, anyone Michael kills would be branded as a sinner by the people, which was exactly what Michael wants. What more can you tell about this Nightcrawler? Before the conversation completely turns towards Lucifer, Michael asked the question. Though the Guardians announced Nightcrawler's existence, they didn't share much except he kills people at night. Yeah, no shit. How many people did he kill? Michael asked. 6 I think. Nah, with Lucan a few days ago it'd be 7. If you want to know more about him, you should go ask what's her name again. The bushy-beard adventurer rubbed his beard trying to recall the name. Nesta, she's the one leading the task of catching Nightcrawler. Yeah, Nesta, the bearded adventurer exclaimed. But be careful, I heard she has quite a temper. If I were you, I don't want to piss off that giant. Nesta, huh? Michael mumbled under his breath. If she was in charge of catching the Nightcrawler, Michael knew killing Nightcrawler as Lucifer would teach her a lesson. However, his first priority before starting the hunt was gathering more information about the Nightcrawler. After getting as much as information he could from them, Michael rented a room in the same tavern. Considering Michael multiplied his business by many folds, the bartender, also the owner of the tavern, was happy to give Michael his best room for free. Of course, Michael knew it was also a business tactic as he could later double his prices, saying that the famous 5-star alchemist, Ghost of Rivertown, stayed at his tavern. System, bring up my status window. Lying on his bed, he ordered the system as the familiar window appeared before Michael's eyes. System version 3. 0 host. Michael cultivation level. Core formation stage level 3 experience points. 0/4000000 badass points. 8,500 skills and spells. Wind Blast LVL2 Responsive Shield LVL3 Environment Scanning LVL2 Ignitia, LVL2 Lightning Dash, LVL2 Energy Devour, LVL1 Death Range LVL2 Techniques. Swords of Destiny 90% Mastery Ring of Fire 57% Mastery Occupation. Core Disciple of Sunrise Sect, the Guardian of Sunrise Sect, Lord Lucifer of the Abyssal Status. Healthy Goals. Control the world, rebuild the Order of Death. Utility Function. Banker, LVL3, Ratio 1000 Gold Coins, 10 Badass Points. Wealth, 2,170,000 gold special trait. 5-star alchemist 3-star inventor subordinates. Gaia warrior, loyalty level 100%. Raylene 5-star chef, loyalty level 97%. Base of operation. Sunrise sect the abyssal. I need to upgrade my spells and banker function. Host should really consider taking a loan and upgrading the spells. The system sounded extremely greedy. Nah, for the time being, I don't want any more loans from you, Michael said as he remembered something about Nightmare. Hey system, now that you're online, can you make Nightmare a royal dragon? It would take 400,000 badass points to make a forest dragon a royal dragon. He was with the system long enough to tell the greedy system was hiding something. Spit it out. What? The host should get more badass points if you want to make your pet dragon a royal dragon? What the? Are you arguing with me now? I know you know a second method system. For a moment, Michael heard a sound like the system sighing. Or you can find a royal dragon and pay the system 50,000 badass points to start the ritual to transform Nightmare into a royal dragon. That seems reasonable. See, we can work it out, Michael chuckled. System, with my current inventor level, I cannot make the thermal camera. So, can you do something about it, like turning the camera I make into a thermal camera? The host can buy a thermal chip from the system store for 200 badass points. Excellent. Why does the host want a thermal camera anyways? This place is basically under lockdown. Anyone who ventures outside at night will be a suspect. If I want to find out what's going on without getting into a fight with Nesta, I have to send out a drone to first survey the area. Who knows? With a little bit of luck, I might find the Nightcrawler himself. Michael knew that if Nightcrawler was able to venture out at night without getting detected by the Guardians, he might have something interesting with him to cover his tracks. It was highly unlikely that even an assassin could kill a noble in his own room, especially after the city had been put under the surveillance of the Guardians. After what happened with Jurdy, if the Guardians did pretend to be Lucifer as Gaia said, they wouldn't try to do the same thing again. Nightcrawler, what secrets do you have? Michael already plotted a plan to use Nightcrawler to his advantage. Hey, are you there? When Michael closed the system's interface, he heard Gaia's voice sounding in his head. What is it? Michael adjusted the earbud in his ear and asked Gaia. They really fucked up Arius Brothers, human. What do you mean really fucked up? Nightmare quickly placed his little head over Michael's ear to eavesdrop. The slave mine was not only used to mine iron, but it was also used for traffic organs and sick experiments on the slaves. You really need to get down here. I don't think they'll last long. He'll put some special healing potion into the interlinked space ring, give it to her. It will keep them alive until I come. Got it? By the way, how's your hunt for the killer going? Still collecting information, but he'll finish it soon. What's Dickie doing? Michael noticed the smile on Nightmare's face. It was surprisingly beautiful for a dragon. He's here, he said. Keep that lizard safe. Don't let him get into trouble while I'm away. Yes, mother, Michael chuckled, and he could hear Gaia giggling on the other end. After giving the healing potion to them, I'm going back to the sect to see how are things back there. Then I will put some instructions for Olivia to study in the ring, give them to her. He already assigned the task of studying all the herbs and their characteristics in his herbal garden, and since he couldn't be with her all the time to guide her, Michael wrote a few pointers in a book for her to study. If she could become extremely loyal to him, he would make her the head of his alchemy business chain as he was planning. Will do. Just stay safe out there, she said in a gentle voice before cutting the call. Chapter 200. The next day Michael woke up before everyone at the tavern. When he reached the downstairs where the bar was located, he saw the adventurers were still snoring. Some were lying on the ground while some were using the long oak tables as their bed. Young Master Ghost, the tavern owner, stopped sweeping the place and greeted Michael with a wide grin. The joy of yesterday's business lightened the tavern owner's face. Well, serve her breakfast in an hour, young master. Nah, I have to be somewhere else. Well, meet again. Michael saluted with 2 fingers with a smile before leaving the tavern. He had to get all the things to build a drone and let it survey the city. If it wasn't for Arius Brothers' situation, he could have spent some time in Flame Fair before leaving to Ice Flare to attend the auction, except now he had to do everything in a rush. Recalling the directions given to him by the adventurers yesterday, Michael made his way to the Burning Star, a well-known store in Flame Fair run by Duke's concubine. Michael was informed that if he wants to buy whether a common item or a rare item, he should look in the Burning Star. The parts required to build a drone weren't rare but could be found in any auction houses or stores like the Burning Star. A drone was not the only thing in his mind. He wanted to make small projectors that would be used by him to telecast what he's going to do. That was going to be his quickie way to earn thousands of badass points as well as spread Lucifer's reputation. The streets were not very different from yesterday. The patrolling guards stared at him wearily, but they didn't stop him to investigate. He knew they might have been informed by Nesta to leave him alone, or they were sure that Michael can't be the Nightcrawler. The more he walked towards the center of the city, the richer and fancier the surroundings became. Lavish water fountains with frozen water, elegant buildings made of marble stones, and painted glass occupied his eyes. Besides the rich scenery, he saw few people who weren't soldiers in full-plate armor on the streets. However, they all wore colorful masquerade masks to cover their faces. On top of the masks, the ladies wore feather hats while men wore long capes. What are they wearing? Nightmare questioned Michael. His little dragon eyes watched them curiously. Soon, the nobles caught the dragon checking them out and quickly began to murmur, pointing their fingers at Michael and the dragon standing on his shoulder. Oh, Calpurnia, look at him. Is that a dragon on his shoulder? It can't be. Who is he? The nobles were curious, yet they didn't choose to talk to Michael. The get-ups amused Michael, reminding him of the masquerade balls secretly hosted by the rich people on Earth. After walking on the main street and turning a few corners according to the adventurers, a majestic tall tower appeared in his sight. The tower was over 60 meters tall. Bright lights could be seen from every single level, and there was a large pavilion on the rooftop. It was an incredibly stylish building that resembled the shape of the Chrysler Building in New York. This single tower showed Michael the wealth of the Duke, as even in this world, maintaining such a majestic building like this would require hundreds of thousand gold coins. One day, I'll own a building like this, Michael said to himself as he walked towards the building, passing the guard patrols on the street. The Burning Star Tower looked different from close proximity. When standing near the front entrance and looking at the golden entrance, one could feel the aura of wealth and prosperity. The Burning Star was the biggest trade power in Flamefair. They ran many different kinds of trading businesses, including an alchemy store that was exclusive to certain customers. It was run by the people of Gabriel, the alchemy king of Elon. On top of this store, many were run and owned by the Duke and his concubine. The Flamefair was huge and cannot be compared with Bradford or any other 3 major cities in Breedia. If one stood on a mountain a few miles away, they would discover that Flamefair was a few hundred square miles of land with beautifully built buildings. The whole city was filled with a magnificent atmosphere, and even during a time of war like this, the city would still be illuminated with lights. They entered the brightly lit Burning Star Tower. When he opened the glass doors, he was welcomed by a warm wave of air. Nightmare could see the hidden arrays around the large spacious hall that were warming the air inside, so the customers would feel comfortable. The first floor was a trading space with small shops built within. These shops were not run by the Duke and his concubine. They were spots rented out, and the Duke would only collect rental payment from them. The floor might have looked grand, but nonetheless, it was rather empty except for a young woman standing behind a marble counter at the end of the hall. My lord, you can't bring pets inside. The girl had beautiful curly golden hair with hazel eyes. At the moment, her hazel eyes were filled with a cocktail of emotions such as fear and shock. Pet. Growling, Nightmare growled, showing his razor-sharp teeth at the girl. First, he's not a pet, and second, you should put a board outside. Despite the girl's reaction to Nightmare, Michael answered her calmly. His warm smile slightly calmed the girl. He knew she was just doing her job and there was no need to make this a big deal. As you can see, he's a dragon, and I think a noble creature like him would behave himself, which cannot be said to most of the humans, my lord, but it's not a good move to make the ghost of Rivertown, the 5-star alchemist, wait because of some petty rule. Mia, a familiar voice resounded as Michael turned to see a gorgeous girl in a violet thick thigh-cut dress. Sadie Kaplan. It was none other than core disciple of Silvermoon and Michael's one-night stand, Sadie Kaplan. The last time he saw her was when the Rivertown was attacked by Netherals. It was one of the best nights he ever had since he came to this world. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 3,000 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 500 badass points. You never fail to amaze me, ghost. Her voice contained a hint of shock. She tried to hide the shock behind her seductive smile. I have 2 questions, ghost. How the hell are you cultivating? And where the fuck did you get a dragon? She asked while slowly walking towards him like she was walking on a tramp at a fashion show. When she got closer, she leaned forward to lip lock, but Michael avoided the kiss on the lips by giving a friendly hug. Huh. Sadie creased her beautiful sharp brows. I didn't expect to see you here, Michael said, pretending not to see her reaction. Me neither, and you haven't answered my questions, ghost. The answers are I'm awesome and got him from Nether Realm, He looked so arrogant when he answered her, but in Sade's eyes, he looked so hot too. I need everything in this list, can you get me these? He retrieved a paper note, sliding it towards Mia, the girl behind the counter. After realizing the youngster in front of her was actually the famous ghost of River Town, Mia didn't open her mouth about the Burning Star's rules about bringing pets inside. They would often make exceptions to many rules for people such as him, so it was not new to her. Of course, my lord. Taking the list, the girl ran to the room behind her to get the items while Sadie gestured at him to follow her to the sofa. Her eyes were curiously staring at Nightmare. Can I? Sade reached out to pet Nightmare after seating herself comfortably on the sofa. No, yet Nightmare outrightly rejected her, moving from Michael's right shoulder to left. He's a dragon, Sadie, you cannot pet him, Michael calmly said as she pouted. It's still hard to believe you have a dragon and at the core formation stage, Ghost. You've reached core formation from body refining in what, 6 months? Give or take, what's your secret? Michael knew she was trying to get his cultivation method, but even if he did tell her, she wouldn't believe it. If you want to cultivate like me, you should try to venture into the treacherous ocean. I heard about your little trip and who you brought back, said Sadie. It wasn't a big surprise for Michael as he made sure the news of Christopher's return spread across Bredia and other kingdoms, because having a soul refiner would make sure his base of operations stays safe from the rogue cultivators. His herbal garden was basically a small treasure trove that had the herbs that could be sold to a shitload of gold coins and trade centers. I guess, you're here to get new spells or weapons for the upcoming tournament. I really wish you went to Ice Flare instead of coming here. Those drunken bastards never mentioned anything about a tournament, which now really piqued his curiosity. A tournament was the best place for him to be badass and earn thousands of badass points. A tournament, huh? You do know about the upcoming Bredian Championship tournament, right? His silence told Sadie that he really doesn't know about one of the biggest tournaments in Elon. It's gonna start in just 3 months. How could you not know about one of the biggest tournaments in Elon? Please enlighten me. Chapter 201. Well, the tournament has 2 championships. One is to choose the champion of the younger generation, which mostly have body-strengthening disciples. The second championship is the main one. This is where the core disciples of the big sects compete. Considering you've reached the core formation stage and you're the core disciples, you won't be competing with the younger generation but with us. Michael grinned, recalling the events that happened at Heaven's Gate competition. At that time, Selena and her boyfriend Alex Fisher threatened him not to step on the 100th step. And ever since he came across Selena at the waterfall by mistake, she was looking to mess with him. This tournament looked like a good place to kick their asses and prove to everyone that he is the number 1 in Elon. Just imagining how many badass points he could reap from this award made his blood boil in excitement. Why are you grinning? Sadie creased her brows, seeing the grin on his face. Core disciples, huh? I assume Selena and her boyfriend will be there. Michael did not stop the tinge of killing intent from emerging in his eyes. Yes, but you can't kill them. Killing is strictly forbidden in the tournament, and it's the referee's job to keep the competitors alive. They can try, he snickered inside. He was positive that he could come up with a plan to kill anyone he wants at the competition with the help of his alchemy talent and the help of the system. Is that so? Tell me more. However, he was not going to share his thoughts with Sadie. In the main championship, there will be 6 rounds. First round, second round, third round, semi-final 1, semi-final 2, and the grand final. What type of contest and battles in each round will be decided by the tournament committee depending on the number of disciples competing. Sadie continued to explain how the competition works. After taking mental notes, Michael asked, what about the first championship for the body strengthening stage disciples? It's pretty straightforward. First round will be a knockout round, the second will be one-on-one battle, and the winners will yet again battle in the final. We would know who takes the championship in a couple of days after the tournament begins. I know who's going to win it, Gaia, Michael thought. Making Gaia reveal her true cultivation level to compete in the second championship might cause some unwanted suspicion on her, but none would suspect her if he makes her look like a body-strengthening stage cultivator and compete in the first championship. He doubted the spell she was using to hide her cultivation level would be enough to fool the competition committee. Hence, he planned to ask the system to help Gaia hide her true cultivation level. If they both won the championship of their league, it would catapult the sect's reputation through the sky. Young Master, while they were talking about the tournament, Mia finally returned with a silver space ring in her hand. All the items in the list are here. The space ring is on the house. Michael took the space ring from her hand to see the items inside. One could see metal bolts, gears, various colors of stones, coils, and many other components inside his ring. If he gave this ring to someone else, they wouldn't be able to make anything, but thanks to his unique inventor trait, he could make hundreds of spiders and a few dozen drones. It'll be 8,000 gold coins, young Master Ghost. Only 8,000? Sadie was taken aback by surprise. She thought he's here to buy a weapon or potion recipe, which would have definitely cost more than 20,000 gold coins, yet what he bought was only 8,000. The host should have brought all the items in the system store, as it would have been high-quality items and saved you the time you've wasted here. The system's annoyed voice sounded in his mind. I could have if your prices weren't so outrageous. I can't afford to spend the points on anything unnecessary for now. Michael entered the system to reply. Take a loan, host. Didn't I make myself clear before? I don't want any more loans. Hee. You will take a loan? He was stunned for a moment hearing the system's laugh. He could swear that the laughter seemed sinister. So you can now laugh, good to know. Why do you think I'm gonna take a loan? However, the system did not reply as it went silent. Knowing that it wouldn't answer him no matter how many times he asks. He just exited the system and sighed in his heart. The space ring alone would cost 10,000, but yeah, I can see what's happening. It wasn't uncommon to see trade centers like the Burning Star give discounts or freebies like this to establish a good relationship with figures like Michael, a 5-star alchemist. Michael accepted their gesture with a happy smile before willing the system to place stacks of 8,300 gold coins on the ground. Keep the change, Mia. It was nice to see you again, Sadie. Michael turned his gaze away from Mia and looked at Sadie. Why don't we talk in private in my room? Mia's cheeks became red hearing the seductiveness of Sadie's voice. I have somewhere else to be, Sadie. Besides, I have a girlfriend now. Does it really matter? Sadie shamelessly leaned forward, but Michael took a step back. She tried to seduce him but never tried to use her telepathic abilities, as she saw what happened to Nyla when she tried to use the tactic on him during Heaven's Gate competition. It does. Well, meet again, he said as his face was void of any expression. Looking at the way he acted, Sadie didn't feel annoyed at him but desired to find a loyal man like him, as none has ever rejected her because they have a girlfriend or boyfriend. She wanted to meet the lucky girl who got a man like him. Sadie let out a long sigh before turning back to walk to her room. Mia was busy counting the gold coins as he failed to notice a tiny spider following Sadie. Does the host plan to fly to the dark forest and then fly to Ice Flare from there? I was going to, but now I know you have a better way. Am I right? There is, the system said as he entered the system and saw a blue card with a golden outline floating before him. Function name, Runic Teleporter Function. Enable the host to instantly teleport to the base of operations and the places marked by the system. Upgradable, no. Say the word and the function will be enabled. The system tried to rush him, but he had a few questions. I have a few questions, like what the heck is the price? Michael raised his voice at the end of his sentence. Only 15,999 points. The host can accept a loan of 20,000 points and enable the function. This is what you were planning, he sighed, realizing the meaning of the system's words before. He really didn't want to take another loan, but this function was very tempting for him as it would be a great help traveling between kingdoms. However, he couldn't help but feel there might be some catches to this function. I assume there are some restrictions. The runic teleportation function cannot be used during a battle. The runes can only be placed in less populated places. Runes are free to place, or do I have to pay you? Each rune will cost the host 4,000 to 10,000 badass points depending on the distance between the host's current location and the destination. The system's words made his brows raise as he had one more question for the system. Does this function only let me teleport? No, the host can teleport subordinates and familiars with him for no additional cost. That's a surprise, said Michael, thinking deeply about taking the loan and buying the function. This does save me a lot of time and energy, he said to himself before taking a deep breath. System, give me a loan and buy this function. Wonderful, the system sounded pleased to hear his answer. Soon afterward, his badass points went from 8,500 to 28,500, and then it decreased to 12,501. Now that he had the runic teleporter function, a new jade green window with a list of names appeared in front of him. Currently there were 2 names on the list, Sunrise Sect and the Abyssal. Both of them were his base of operations. However, he had to place a rune somewhere in Flamefair before teleporting to Abyssal. This would save him the time of flying back to Flamefair from the Dark Forest. On top of saving time, he could now be Ghost in one kingdom and be Lucifer in another with ease. If he had to find a downside of this function, he would say it's the restriction of being unable to use the function during battle. Considering there was another upgradable teleportation spell in the system store, the restriction was understandable, as if he desired to teleport during a battle, he had to buy the upgradable teleportation spell. The reason Michael didn't buy the teleportation spell was according to Gaia, the teleportation spell was considered as a legendary spell in this world. Therefore, if someone saw him teleport during a battle, it would make him a target of many. He decided to buy the teleportation spell only after he reached the core strengthening stage. For now, the lightning dash was a perfect substitute for the short-range teleportation spell. Since I got a loan and bought the function as you recommended, can you show me the places on Flamefair where I could leave a rune? A map of Flamefair appeared before him with a few golden dots on the holographic map. That's the tavern. He quickly recognized the place the golden dot was on as the tavern he spent the night. Good. He began to walk in the tavern's direction while moving the spider he left at the burning star to a dark corner in Sadie's room. Chapter 202, How do I place the rune system? Standing in a dark alley near the tavern, Michael questioned the system. Place your right hand on the wall before you. A prompt will appear. All right, said Michael, placing his right hand on the brick wall in front of him. This is a suitable place for a teleportation rune. Does the host wish to mark this area and add the location to runic teleportation locations? Yes. The very next second he agreed to the system's prompt, a dim golden light appeared from his right hand. The dim light then transformed itself into an orb of light before it disappeared into the wall. He opened the teleportation locations in the system to see the name Flamefair Tavern among the list. Looking at the list, he only needed to focus his gaze on the name Abyssal as another prompt appeared. Does the host wish to teleport to the Abyssal? Yes, and equip my Lucifer armor. An unearthly humming sound rang in his head while everything began to turn dark around him. Fuck. Michael stumbled on the wall as he felt like throwing up. The world was spinning around him as every muscle in his body ached. Teleportation was not a new experience for him. Regardless, using this function was a whole new experience for him. The host is feeling the aftermath of the teleportation. Your body will soon adapt to the new experience, and next time you teleport you won't be feeling like this. Michael's legs trembled as he leaned on the wall, waiting for his body to feel better. After taking a few deep breaths, he looked around and realized that he's standing in his room in Abyssal. The fancy bed and sofa Gaia forced him to buy was a dead giveaway. You whack. Michael heard something hitting the ground as he turned to see Nightmare throwing up on the floor. You whack. His shiny crimson-red scales lost their glow. Nightmare tried to speak, but all that came out of his mouth was the meat he ate yesterday. Stay in this room. Don't come outside. I wish. Yuek. Nightmare threw up again. Michael steadied himself before leaving the room. Navigating through the dark halls and corridors, Michael reached the throne hall. I should put lights on this place. It was a place built by the Order of the Death for the Dark Lord, but it didn't mean the place to be dark. He wanted to put some lights on so Abyssal could feel less gloomy and dreary. Considering Gaia left the Abyssal to go to the sect, the throne hall was empty. Instead of calling Dalar to ask where Arya is, Michael walked towards where the rooms were located. After entering the corridors, he could feel the energy fluctuations around Dalar's room. It was obvious that the orc was cultivating, and he had no intention to interrupt Dalar's cultivation. With the help of environmental scanning, Michael sensed a life presence in one of those rooms before him. The life presence was accompanied by two faint life presences. He knew they must be Arya's brothers. When he got closer to the room, he could hear a muffled sobbing sound coming from the room. He didn't ask or knock on the door, but rather directly opened the door to enter. Ah! He saw Arya jump back in sudden shock seeing him suddenly enter the room. If Michael wasn't wearing his Lucifer suit of armor with a mask, she wouldn't have been jolted like this, but his black mask and tall bulky figure freaked her out. Instead of looking at Arya, his gaze was drawn towards the two figures lying on the bed. Both of them had neither legs nor arms, they were limbless. On top of them he could see stitch marks and deep scars all over their bodies. They might have looked handsome before, except they were now anything but handsome. He could even see that someone had burned their hair. They were tortured and then experimented on, he thought to himself while walking towards them. She said, you can save them. Arya mustered up her courage to walk closer to Michael. She stuttered as her body shivered. It was a sign of anger and helplessness. Arya stared at him expecting an answer, yet she got nothing. Her eyes welled up slowly, losing the last bit of hope she had for saving her brothers. System, can we do something about them? After looking at their state, he realized that even his alchemy skills weren't enough to save them. No matter how hard he thought, he couldn't find a potion or pill that would help them grow limbs. The system requires 500 badass points to scan their bodies. Take it. A layer of light covered their bodies before vanishing. Arya couldn't see the light layer as Michael did. Besides the lack of limbs, organs such as kidneys, pancreas, and energy veins were removed from them. They were removed while they were still conscious. On top of this, they were tortured to the point that pieces of their souls had already departed from their mortal bodies. The system also found residues of various chemicals in their blood and brain which could make healing them difficult. You can heal them, right? Healing them will ensure her absolute loyalty. Plus, I have a feeling that these two will also be valuable subordinates to me in the future. The system can heal them for a price. No shit, 50,000 badass points for healing the body and 25,000 badass points for growing legs and arms for each. Fuck, he cursed in his heart. 150,000 badass points were not something Michael could spend leisurely. He could upgrade his spells and use the points to become stronger. This made him think that whether healing them would be worth it. He knew that only Arya could give him the answer. Given her ability to completely hide the energy radiation from her body, if she could become a deadly assassin by training and cultivating, her loyalty would be priceless to his cause. The way to earn her absolute loyalty was by healing her brothers. Healing them is the best course of action, the system said, but he knew the system was saying this to make sure that he would heal them, thus giving the system his badass points. Michael always trusted his guts, and currently, his guts told him that Arya will be a worthy subordinate. He turned his gaze away from the bed to see Arya staring at him as tears were rolling out of her bloodshot eyes. Her parents were killed, she lost her brothers, sold to another continent as a slave, saw her best friend burned alive by a noble, served under a clown to kill nobles, and when she thought she's going to reunite with her brothers, her world was yet again turned upside down. Looking at Arya, even Michael felt pity for the girl. Besides the lack of limbs, organs such as kidneys, pancreas, and energy veins were removed from them. They were removed while they were still conscious. On top of this, they were tortured to the point that pieces of their souls had already departed from their mortal bodies. I can also sense residues of various substances in their blood and brain which could make healing them difficult. He repeated the words of the system to fan the flames of her emotions. First, he wanted to feel so helpless before giving her a ray of hope. Arya's legs failed her as she dropped to the ground after hearing his words. Anger and helplessness started to cannibalize her soul. Healing them is not impossible. However, it will take time. Her heart skipped a beat as she looked up at him. Her mouth kept opening and closing without uttering a single word. Your absolute loyalty is my price for healing your brothers. Arya had nothing to give him except her body, and she was ready to give herself to him if he could heal him and required her to do so. Yet he didn't ask her body but loyalty. If I have to be a slave to him to save my brothers, so be it, Arya said to herself before kneeling in front of him. I will die for you if it would bring my brothers back. Do you accept to be my subordinate? Yes, master. Does the host wish to accept Arya as a subordinate? Yes, subordinate. Arya cultivation level. Body refining stage level 2 race, human status, healthy trait, assassin loyalty towards the host, 28%. Her loyalty level did not surprise him. After all, he hadn't healed her brothers yet and she barely knew him. The system recommends the host to keep injecting them with a 90% pure healing potion to prevent any more pieces of their souls from departing. The system's voice sounded in his mind as he retrieved a healing potion he specifically made for him and Gaia from the system's storage. He then handed it over to Arya before gesturing at her to stand up. Inject this to their bodies. This will keep your brothers alive and give their bodies the strength to withstand the healing process, as starting the process now would kill them. Arya clenched onto the healing potion like her life depending on it. Meet me at the throne hall in 10 minutes. I want to know more about you and the slave mine where you found your brothers, said Michael before leaving the room. He was very curious about what kind of experiments were going on in the slave mines and who was doing these experiments on the slaves. Infiltrating the mines would give him more information before deciding what to do with the mine. Besides, it would always be a great help for him to kill bad guys and earn experience points. Whoever running the experiments on the slaves had no idea that they just drew the attention of someone they shouldn't have. Lucifer. Chapter 203, Miss Elia, everything's finished. We can open the restaurant whenever you want. Daniel and Ricky were reporting the status of the restaurant to Gaia as she was munching on the cookies. Crumbs of cookies were all over her pearl white dress and the sofa, yet she couldn't care less. Ill-informed ghost and come to a decision. Now go make sure there's no problem at Majestic. Yes, Miss Elia. They bowed deeply before leaving her room. With Gaia's guidance and the pills given to them by her, Ricky and Daniel reached the body-strengthening stage. Previously, one could count the bones in Ricky's body, but now, he developed a well-toned body. Daniel on the other hand shed all the fat as well as his bushy beard. Their transformation was shocking to many people in Rivertown who have known them for so long. When they quit their guard job, Many thought they were making a mistake. After all, working under the king of Bredia would provide them with a stable income and pension. However, those people who thought this became jealous as Daniel and Ricky did not only earn a handsome salary but their social status was also elevated by Ghost. "Sister Elia, may I come in?" Jack asked, standing near the door. "What is it? Is someone messing with the new girl again?" No, Jack frantically shook his head. Only yesterday he saw Gaia beat the shit out of a guy who groped the new girl at the counter's ass. She was so ruthless that she set the guy's butt on fire. She's doing fine, considering a portion of the profit they were making in Majestic is going to the sect. Gaia hired a female disciple of the sect to be her assistant. By being Gaia's assistant meant that the girl has to do everything that Gaia does at the Majestic, including the occasional curses at the customers to keep them online. Thanks to Ghost and Gaia's reputation, there weren't as many unruly customers as when they first opened the Majestic. On top of the girl, Gaia also hired a group of adventurers as the security in case someone tried to steal or attack the Majestic while she was away. Even if the adventurers couldn't stop the attacks, they would function to slow down the enemies a bit by either getting killed or wounded. "Miss Ella is here to meet you, Sister Elia. Go and tell her to come in." Soon after Jack left the room, Ella entered the room. She was still in full black with a hood covering her burned skin. Seating herself on the sofa, Ella looked around, searching for Ghost. "He's Colonel. Tivating. Tell me, how's your thing, ing?" Words barely escaped her mouth, which was filled with biscuits. "With everything you've given me, most of the disciples, teachers and elders will follow me." "Most? You've got a specific number in mind?" "We've 140 disciples, 23 teachers and 6 elders. Out of them, 100 disciples, 15 teachers and 4 elders are on my side. The rest of them were too loyal to Matthias, or too stupid," said Gaia, placing the empty cookie jar on the table. "Alright, I'd say we put this merger on the road. Demand the election to vote for a new sect leader now. Since you've got the majority of the elders and teachers at your side, you can easily win it, but something tells me you would have done it by now if there isn't a problem with that plan." Ella sighed, nodding her head. Matthias found a loophole in the document written by the founders. "The election can't be held for another couple of years. Fuck the elections." Gaia punched the sofa in anger. "Enough of this election shit. Let's kill this fucker and be done with him." "No way we can kill him. The only reason he's still not killing me or my supporters is that he's afraid of your previous sect master, the Soul Refiner. Besides, nowadays he's not leaving his room and always cultivating. This seems like a good test for Arya." Gaia remembered Arya's ability to pass through defense arrays without triggering them. Handing over the operation to kill Matthias would be a good test for Arya, Gaia thought. "Wait a sec," she said to Ella before going to the kitchen. Ella saw her coming back with a flower vase. "Put this near Matthias' room. Well, take care of the rest." "What is this?" "You don't want to know. Just do what I said. Next time, give me a fucking warning." Gaia threw up on the floor after Michael brought her to Abyssal by teleporting her. "It's a new teleportation scroll I just created. You'll get used to it. I better be." He gave a few minutes to stabilize her body. "Gross," Nightmare said, hovering over her head. "Go away, she swatted Nightmare away before continuing to throw up. Considering she filled her belly with cookies, it took her a few minutes to empty her belly. "Here," Michael gave her a bottle of water and wiped off her mouth using a kerchief. "Don't you have a juice or something?" thought. Michael slapped the back of her head. "Just drink the water. Raylene really spoiled this snake," Nightmare ridiculed Gaia. "Enough, you two. Come, we have work to do," he said, walking towards the surveillance monitors he glued to the wall in his room. Soon afterward, he willed the system to show the feed of Sadie's room. While the system was displaying the feed, he retrieved all the parts he bought from the Burning Star to start building the drones. "Hey, look, it's the human who tried to kiss you." Nightmare bit his tongue, quickly realizing that he shouldn't have said this. Yet it was too late as he felt a cold, killing intent radiating from her body. "What?" "Relax, I told her that I have a girlfriend. Nesta." However, before Gaia could say anything, she saw him stop whatever he was doing to stare at the monitor. "We'll have this conversation later," she mumbled as she stared at the muscular woman on the monitor. After Nesta, a few other youngsters with guardian symbols embroidered on their chests entered Sadie's room. All of them looked very serious. "Is it done?" Sadie asked Nesta. "Yes," Nesta said, throwing a file on the table before Sadie. "I assume everyone has read this file," except for Sadie, who gawked cluelessly, nodded their heads. "What were you doing? Banging Ghost?" Nesta asked as Michael felt the air around him became colder. "I wish. Apparently he has a girlfriend now," Good for him. Alright, let me run everyone through the plan again. Listen carefully. Sadie leaned on the nearby wall to listen to Nesta. From an hour ago, we the Guardians and the Duke have withdrawn the troops and recalled the hunt for Nightcrawler. Interesting, said Michael. What's the plan? The plan is simple, Sadie. We withdraw the men, let Nightcrawler crawl out of whatever hole he's in, and when he does, bam. Nesta punched a hole in the wall. We nab that bastard. How? Take a look at all the paintings. Nesta threw the file at Sadie as she began to rummage through the file. Since the spider couldn't cover the photos inside the file, Michael had no idea what the paintings looked like. Those are the paintings of Nightcrawler's victims. My team did a good job putting it all together. Can you see what they all have in common? Sadie remained silent for a few moments before answering Nesta. They all have red hair? Sadie said, furrowing her brows in doubt. Exactly. That sick bastard has a thing for redheads. However, that's not the only thing my team found. Look at the map, that's his hunting circle. Although redheads are not very common, there must be at least 50 redheads living in this area, 36 to be exact, and all of them are being replaced by my men as we speak, Nesta said and continued. As you all know, ever since we put the city under lockdown, there wasn't a single new murder that matched Nightcrawler's MO. The behavior predictors at the guild had classified Nightcrawler as a serial killer. The longer he goes without killing, the stronger his desire to kill again. We may have still no idea how did he manage to kill those nobles who had powerful defense arrays. We now know that he will strike as soon as he feels safe. Are you pretending to be withdrawing the troops or? No tricks. For the plan to work, we really have to convince the Nightcrawler that we called off the hunt. Only then he would emerge again and make a move on one of my 36 men. You're taking a pretty big risk here, Nesta, Sadie said as Nesta laughed. No risk, no reward, Sadie. You know this better than anyone. Michael swiftly moved the spider through telepathic connection to take a glimpse at Nightcrawler's hunting area. The spider had a risk of being caught by Nesta or anyone the Guardians in the room, but it was worth the risk. If they did catch the spider, Michael would destroy the spider remotely so they would get nothing. Just a little more, Michael mumbled, looking at the spider getting closer and closer to the file. If he could manage to move the spider directly above the file on the table, he would get a glimpse. System, the moment the file comes into the sight, take a picture. It would be 50 badass points. No problem. Fortunately, the camouflage of the spider was enough to avoid getting detected by the Guardians. Regardless of all the safety measures Michael built in the spider, he still treated spying using the spiders cautiously. Picture taken successfully. The moment he heard the confirmation sound from the system, he immediately moved the spider to a safe dark spot. Let's hunt this Nightcrawler ourselves. Erase the Discord link to my server where you can see the character images, listen to character theme music, and have a chat with me. Chapter 20. For the winter sky was a barren land filled with nothing but clouds. Only the howling wind and heavy downspout of snowflakes were the true companions of the night. Ironically, the city of Flamefair lacked flames during this winter. One could not even see the guards patrolling around the Duke's manor. The soldiers were long gone into the barracks after leaving defense arrays activated around the manor. Not only the Duke's manor but every single important place was now protected by the arrays. Not the guards unless they were willing to use arch energy to keep their bodies warm. The heavy downpour of snow soon became a merciless blizzard. The blizzard wind seemed like it was trying to replicate the sound of wolves howling at the moon. Those who were living outside the city suffered most of the winter. Most of them lacked the necessary winter clothes and cozy home. For the nobles, winter was a perfect time to increase their family size. The majority of the nobles treated the winter as their sweet little escape from reality. However, their perfect reality was messed up by a single person, Nightcrawler. Now the nobles had to spend their nights in fear, as the cold was not the only reason for their shivering. You messed up, human. I see no shit except blue, said Gaia, staring at the monitors back in Abyssal. It's called thermal vision. To put it simply, my drone will pick up the heat signatures emitted by someone or something. Since Nesta withdrew the troops, leaving the Flamefair vulnerable, there's a possibility that Nightcrawler would emerge from his hole. Ghosty, but look at the blizzard there. We can't bet this Nightcrawler would pick this night to hunt. Nightmare was right. The blizzard might throw a wrench on Nightcrawler's plans, but Michael strongly believed that he would choose this night to hunt. You heard Nesta before. He's a serial killer. If I'm right, he's still learning the craft. Unless he learned to control his urge to kill, he will emerge from the dark. If Michael had either personally seen the crime scenes or read the file Nesta's team put together, he would have completely learned that Nightcrawler is still an amateur serial killer. Michael wondered how Nightcrawler managed to get in and out of the noble's house without triggering any defense mechanisms. If this Nightcrawler too had an ability to hide his arch-energy radiation like Arya, he would prove to be a worthy cadaver for Michael to experiment on in the future. Recruiting a serial killer had too many risks, as most of the serial killers tend to work alone. What are those thingies you made me put in all around Bredia and Kethin? It's easier and fun to demonstrate rather than me explaining. The three of them stared at the monitors in silence before Gaia cleared her throat, attempting to get Michael's attention. HRM. She cleared her throat again, but seeing no response from him, she grabbed Michael's chair, turning him around to look at her. He saw her staring at him with her hands folded against her gorgeous chest. No matter how many times he has seen her, she still mesmerized him. If she showed her original face, he knew he has to fight noble brats from morning to night, as she was an angelic beauty who would turn a straight woman into a gay man to straight in a few seconds. Even when she was mad or annoyed, it only boosted her beauty. What? Michael shrugged. The little dragon was slowly walking backward from Michael. So that bitch tried to kiss you, huh? It was not a question but rather sounded like a threat. I thought I made myself clear. How about the next time I see her, I'd go for the kiss? He joked, removing the black skull mask from his face. Like this he pulled her closer as she stumbled on him. Without letting Gaia speak, he closed her mouth with his. The longer he kissed her, the stronger he pressed her head against his. It was a deep kiss willed with flames of passion and love. Nightmare's shout broke their kiss. The little dragon raised his claws, pointing at the mirrors. Gaia's meaningless anger completely vanished away after the kiss as she cuddled him tightly. Cuddling on the chair, they both looked at the mirrors to see a red humanoid figure moving over the rooftops. Welcome to the party, pal, he willed the drone that's catching the figure's feed to follow. By looking at the thermal image of the figure, Michael could see the figure has a medium height with skinny body type. What's that? Because he was familiar with thermal images, he quickly saw the abnormal heat emission from the figure's body. All of the figure's body was golden yellow, but his chest area was bright red. The red around his chest area was also pulsating. Nightmare, come here, buddy. The little dragon hopped over to him as Michael put a collar around his neck. A small glimmer of light shone on the middle of the collar. It was the camera he built. What is this? It has a built-in camera. Look there, now I see what you see. He pointed at one of the mirrors as Nightmare saw Michael's and Gaia's faces in the mirror. Plus, there's a mic and speaker attached to the collar. These will let us communicate regardless of the distance. He didn't build these himself but bought from the system because it only cost him 100 badass points. He was too busy building 4 drones and spiders as he decided to buy them from the system rather than building them himself to save time. Moreover, the collar had a tiny poison dart that could be fired by Michael through a telepathic connection. Well, teleport to Flamefair. Follow him, it's highly unlikely that someone would notice you through the blizzard. Remember, don't get closer. I'll talk you through this. Let me go with him, Gaia interrupted Michael before he could leave the chair. If this Nightcrawler isn't stronger than me, I'll shoot him with one of the knockout arrows and bring him here. He rubbed his stubble beard he had started to grow recently. Gaia was a far better shot than him. He was good, but she was better. There was certainly a possibility that he could miss the shot at Nightcrawler thanks to the blizzard, yet he was confident that she could make the shot using her Legolas bow. Time was of the essence. Nightcrawler wasn't hunting as he was probably thinking, he was being hunted by the Guardians. Nightcrawler had no idea that he was going to walk straight into a trap. If Michael wanted to catch him, he must act now before it's too late. Alright, but if you feel something amiss, get the hell out there. I killed a group of Grim Reapers with a knife. How hard can this be? She said, cracking her neck. And I killed a group of trained assassins with an ice pick, but that doesn't mean we should be careless. He stood up from his chair before putting his black mask on. She too wore the mask that he gave her to change her face, and then she put on the black mask to finish her female Lucifer getup. Oh shit, here we go again. She couldn't help but curse, recalling how bad she felt after being teleported using his new method. She closed her eyes involuntarily. The very next moment, she felt like she was being torn into countless pieces before a sudden chill hit her face. She opened her eyes to see she was standing in an alley knee-deep in snow. Go, Gaia and Nightmare took off from the ground like a rocket leaving the ground. In their rush to find some action, they forgot to ask what Michael's going to do. System, hide my presence, he said as the energy being radiated from his body became less and less until it had almost gone. Taking out a mirror from his storage, he monitored Nightcrawler, who was still moving on the rooftops. The blizzard was definitely making his advancement towards his target a pain, thus saving him from the Guardians. However, the Guardians weren't his only problem. Ghost, I can see him. He's just at the body refining stage. Michael was thoroughly stunned to hear Nightmare's words. He could sense the doubt and uncertainty in Nightmare's voice. I see him too. What the actual fuck? How could a body refiner manage to kill those nobles? Does he have a special ability like Arya? Take him down and we can find out his secret. Avoid hitting his chest though. He guessed that the thing pulsating could be Nightcrawler's secret. Therefore he didn't want it to get damaged by Gaia's arrow. Considering he himself brewed the knockout agent that was smothered on Gaia's arrows, he couldn't be more positive that it would knock him out the second the arrow hit Nightcrawler's body. He could feel the tension building up inside him. He had a strong feeling that this is going to lead him to something big other than a shitload of badass points he would get when he livestreamed killing Nightcrawler to the entire Breedia and Flamefare. Target in sight, take the shot. Michael took off from the ground like Superman. He soared through the air towards Gaia's location as fast as he could. He wanted to get Nightcrawler, subdue him with the help of the system before teleporting back to Abyssal. Chapter 205. The system scan is completed. Nightcrawler doesn't have any means to escape Abyssal unless the host choose to let him go. In one of the empty rooms of the Abyssal, a bold skinny man was tied to a chair that resembled the torture chairs in the movies. His ankles, feet as well as wrists were tied to the chair using barbed wire. This man was the infamous Nightcrawler who was terrorizing Flamefare and its citizens. Nightcrawler's ability is very similar to subordinate Arya's masking ability. The masking ability was what impressed Michael, resulting in Arya's recruitment. At the moment, Arya could only mask her energy radiation to full common defense arrays and body refining stage cultivators. Anything above the common category and anyone above the body refining stage could easily detect regardless of her ability. Michael wasn't so clear about the masking ability because even Gaia had no knowledge of such ability. When Michael asked the system, it only informed that her ability to mask her energy radiation would grow with her cultivation level. If he wanted to know more about this ability, the system required him to upgrade it to the next level. However, unlike subordinate Arya, Nightcrawler's ability seems to be originating from the artifact attached to his heart and is superior to subordinate Arya's masking ability. How do I detach this artifact from his body? He asked curiously. Killing him would do the trick. Oh, I plan to, he sneered, exiting the system. Nightmare was hovering around unconscious Nightcrawler while Gaia was tying the barbed wires more tightly. Here, crack this baby open. She threw a space ring towards Michael. A few seconds after he paid the system the badass points, he could see the contents inside the space ring. A serial killer indeed. The space ring contained nothing but vials of blood. Those glittering red vials were neatly stacked in a line inside the space ring. With a single glance, he could tell these were Nightcrawler's souvenirs taken from his victims. Unlike what he was told back at the tavern, there weren't 7 blood vials but there were a total of 10 blood vials. This meant one thing: he started the killing way before the Guardians had predicted. Anything interesting? Gaia asked, leaning on the wall with her hands folded against her chest. Take a look at this yourself. He threw back the space ring to her, but before she could catch the ring, Nightmare snatched the ring in the mid-air. Hey, give me that. She tried to grab Nightmare, but he was zigzagging around her to annoy her more. Seeing the play like this in front of an infamous serial killer like Nightcrawler made Michael frustrated and amused at the same time. Nightmare, give her the ring before she nails you to the wall, he warned Nightmare when he saw Gaia reaching for an arrow in her quiver. So easy to annoy, the little dragon chuckled before landing on Gaia's shoulder. She swiftly grabbed the ring from his mouth with an annoyed look on her face. But the annoyed look was soon replaced by a frown when she saw the contents inside the space ring. Are these? Yep, the vials containing the blood of his victims. This was the grossest thing she had seen in her life. In fact, this was not even close. Yet this was the first time she saw a serial killer and his souvenirs with her own eyes. Let me see. Nightmare grabbed the ring from her hand. How about we kill this lowlife and collect his blood in a vial? The little dragon's soft side was slowly vanishing due to his and Gaia's influence on him. Michael was glad to see this change because a dragon like him must be ruthless to his enemies. In the future, they would have to fight countless foes, and any kind of mercy or reluctance to kill a foe would cost them their lives. Michael was sure that the Guardians or any of his future foes wouldn't show them any kind of mercy. Let's wake this fucker up. Nightmare quickly flew into Michael's cape, attaching himself onto his back. Gaia slapped Nightcrawler so hard that the slapping sound echoed through the empty room. He could swear that he even saw molar teeth bursting out of Nightcrawler's mouth with a splatter of blood and saliva. Where? Ah! The pain hit him only a few seconds after he opened his eyes. Piercing gray eyes sat concealed within their sockets, watching its surroundings wearily. As Nightcrawler's vision became less blurry and realization of he had been captured reached his brain, He tried to wiggle against the barbed wire shackling him to the chair. However, the more he struggled, the more he felt the excruciating pain of barbed wire sinking deep and deep into his flesh. Ah! Let me go! Both Michael and Gaia saw Nightcrawler frantically trying to move away from them without asking who they were, which meant he already knew the answer to that question. While he was struggling, Michael retrieved the drone from his storage. Gaia stepped away from the drone's camera angle into the corner of the room to blend with the darkness. The light in the drone's camera flickered before emitting a stable blue light, indicating to him that it's ready to broadcast the feed to everywhere Gaia put the projector balls. The projector balls would automatically find a suitable place in the area to project the feed so the people could see and hear Lucifer crystal clear. At the moment, the projector balls were projecting the feed to every corner of Flamefair and Breedia. One of the places the projector balls projecting the feed was the Burning Star building itself. With the help of the system, he built the projector balls to project the feed in the sky itself. Therefore, if there wasn't a large wall or building nearby the balls to project, they would use the sky itself as the projector screen. Plus, the projector balls had all kinds of audio enhancement that could make his voice extremely loud, which could give the otherworldly effect to Lucifer. System, activate the projectors, he said to the system, signaling Gaia to put a cloth around Nightcrawler's mouth. Michael stood in front of the drone with his hands behind. Welcome to my hell, people of Breedia and Flamefair, ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 1,000 badass points, ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 1,500 badass points. A few moments after he activated the projectors through the system, badass points began to rain as he continuously heard the notification sound ringing in his mind. I've been watching you, studying you. I saw massacres, corruption in every place, nobles and cultivators treating commoners as worse than dirt, commoners selling their bodies and stealing, slavery, experiments on people and many, many more sins. His unearthly voice reverberated through all the Breedia and Flamefair. This continent is slowly turning into a hell, and in hell, you have to answer to me, Lucifer. Wonderful. Amidst the ringing sound of the notification, he heard the system's voice that sounded extremely pleased. Since the people who should have protected the innocents have been failing miserably, it's time every sinner in this continent experiences the justice served in hell. After these words escaped his mouth, he slowly stepped away sidewards for the drone camera to get Nightcrawler. Let me introduce the human whom you've known as Nightcrawler. He may elude the justice of mortals because of lack of evidence or the incompetence of the authorities. In here, I'd be the judge, jury, and the executioner. Michael let the words sink in the people's hearts. After a few seconds of silence, he went on. He has killed 10 people, 4 of them were innocent. They were just commoners who did their best to provide for their families. He hunted them like prey, he enjoyed killing them, every single moment of it. Michael ran his claws through Nightcrawler's face. Everywhere his sharp claws touched Nightcrawler's body, blood seeped through the cuts. In my hell, you're all nothing but miserable praise. If your authorities had caught him, he would have been fed, given a cozy little prison cell, and then a fair trial. There's nothing fair in giving this murderer a trial. Too much waste of time. Michael's hands stopped running around Nightcrawler's face as he clenched Nightcrawler's bald head and slowly began to apply pressure. Nightcrawler violently wiggled against the barbed wires, feeling the pain of his skull getting crushed by Lucifer. Just like he did to those innocent mortals, his death too will be slow and painful. Gaia could hear the cracking sound coming from his bald head. Webs of blood seeped through the cracks appearing in his bald egg. Michael felt like he's been slowly crushing an egg in his hand. Every sinner in this continent will pay for their crimes, just like those who did before Nightcrawler as well as those who were claiming to be me. You can escape mortal justice, but you can't escape mine. No amount of gold or connections will save you in my hell, Pulch. Michael suddenly used all of his strength as Nightcrawler's head exploded into a red mist like an exploding watermelon. Splatters of gray matter oozed out of Michael's hands to the ground as Nightcrawler's body was still twitching. I will give the sinners one more chance. Within the next 2 months, surrender to the authorities and pay the price for your crimes. The authorities should give a most fitting punishment for their crimes, or after 2 months, this will continue. Remember, you can't beg for forgiveness from me. The Southern Continent arc will begin from the. Expect pirates, gladiators, and much, much more. Chapter 206 System Version 3. 0 Host. Michael Cultivation Level. Core Formation Stage Level 3 Experience Points. 5,000/400,000 Badass Points. 66,500 Skills and Spells. Wind Blast LVL2 Responsive Shield LVL3 Environment Scanning LVL2 Ignitia LVL2 lightning dash, LVL2 energy devour, LVL1 death range, LVL2 techniques. Swords of Destiny 90% mastery, Ring of Fire 57% mastery, occupation. Core disciple of Sunrise Sect, the guardian of Sunrise Sect, Lord Lucifer of the Abyssal status. Healthy goals: control the world, rebuild. The Order of Death, utility function. Banker, LVL3, ratio 1000 gold coins, 10 badass points, runic teleportation wealth, 2,170,000 gold, special trait. 5-star alchemist, 3-star inventor, subordinates. Gaia warrior, loyalty level 100%. Raylene, 5-star chef, loyalty level 98%. Arya, assassin, loyalty level 28%. Base of operation. Sunrise Sect, the Abyssal, wonderful. Even after settling his debt, there remained 66,500 badass points. From now on, he decided to leave more projector balls everywhere he visits so the next time he goes live he could get more badass points. Yes, you should. As the system read his mind, it replied to him. How do I get the artifact from him? Open his chest and you will get the artifact. Great. Exiting the system, he couldn't help but roll his eyes. He was not a surgeon who could delicately open up Nightcrawler's chest. Dagger. Gaia threw the jade dagger hanging from her waist. What are you doing? Nightmare asked while hovering around Nightcrawler. Gaia moved towards him, avoiding the gray matter on the ground. I'm going to open up his chest to get what I want. Need a hand? She grabbed Nightcrawler's shoulder to hold him firmly while Michael cut open the chest. Seeing her helping him, he couldn't help smiling. She was perfect for him in every way. There weren't many girls who would help their boyfriends cut open someone's chest, even if the chest belonged to a killer. Yet, Gaia was happily doing her wifely duties. Honestly, he looked forward to giving her the throne of Nagaland so he could marry this perfect girl. No matter how many people he would have to kill in Nagaland, he would do it for her. Thinking about his bright future with her, he plunged the dagger into Nightcrawler's abdomen. He then worked his way upwards like gutting a fish. Blood and guts oozed out of the body, yet they never slowed him down. This is gross, Nightmare commented, looking at the gore. Eventually, after a few more minutes, they could see the heart as well as a small copper cube. The cube was attached to the heart, radiating a faint light and a humming sound. Ding. The host has found an ancient artifact. The system requires 30,000 badass points to initiate a scan that could lead the host to something special. Do it, he never hesitated. The last time the system asked him badass points to find something interesting, he ended up with the Abyssal, his own little Batcave. Therefore, when the system tempted him again, he jumped the gun. Great. Initiating the scan. What the fuck is this? Gaia poked the copper cube after Michael gently ripped it off from Nightcrawler's heart. Nightmare stared at Michael for his answer, but instead of giving Gaia the answer, he patiently waited for the system to finish scanning the artifact. Scan completed. The host should get a world map. Gaia, do you have a map? She took out an old worn-out parchment from her space ring. He feared that opening the parchment would crumble down the old piece of paper. Old Rizzle has been with me since I first started my adventure. You named your map. Don't judge me, she giggled as she handed over the map to Michael. After delicately opening the parchment, he saw the map of this world for the first time. There were 4 large pieces of land, each divided by vast oceans. The largest continent among the 4 was the continent named Arar, which was doubled the size of Elon and Azair. The smallest yet farthest continent from Elon was the southern continent, also known as Midras. The southern continent was made of 4 kingdoms: Lidora, Jysel, Utopia, and the Prado Kingdom. There wasn't much information on the map about each kingdom's characteristics or what they have to offer. As he laid his eyes on the southern continent, a dot of blue light could be seen only by him in the kingdom of Jysel. This is our next destination. You gonna tell me what is in there? The origin of this artifact, she wanted to ask how he knew that, but she decided not to. Even after he revealed most of the information about him, she could tell that it was only the tip of the iceberg, as he seemed to have a secret that he couldn't tell her. However, she trusted him to tell her everything one day. Until then, she would keep her questions bottled. Southern continent is a 2-month journey from here if we get in a good condition ship. Ship? Why can't we just fly there? Nightmare asked. First of all, when we enter the atmosphere of the southern continent, we won't be able to use arch or any kind of energy. Second of all, there is no land to take a rest in the Midras Ocean. Unless you have a better way, I'd suggest we hop on a merchant ship. She removed her mask as she stepped closer to Michael. Regardless of the blood and gore around him, he could smell the sweet fragrance radiating from her. I always wanted to visit the southern continent, and now it's going to be even better with you. It's not going to be our honeymoon or anything, Michael sighed, remembering her no sex until marriage rule. Although he respected her wish, he would be lying if he said he don't care about taking the kiss to the next level. Shoo, she put her finger on his lips. No marriage, no fling, but it doesn't mean we have nothing to do during our journey. His eyes sparkled as his heartbeat rose. He felt like a virgin boy who just got a date to lose his virginity. He couldn't wait to get on a ship to the southern continent. Don't mind me. Looking at how close they were standing to each other, Nightmare rolled his eyes. And just as the little dragon expected, they locked their lips despite their rather disturbing surroundings. Let's just first go to the auction and make some money. I'd bet they have some nice swords, Gaia purred, gently kissing her ear. After the auction, remind me to visit the house of Bradley. You said they are mainly in business for private security, he said, recalling Nathan's uncle, Lord Malin's request to visit the house of Bradley. Yeah, not number one or anything, but they have a decent operation going on. If everything goes smoothly, we can use them to protect our assets. Extra security to Raylene doesn't hurt, considering Raylene was a 5-star chef and she would be more famous once they open the restaurant. They had to make sure she stays safe. One could not say for sure that no one would harm her or try to kidnap her. Let Delar use his netherals to clean up this mess and the mess you two made in my room. The snake and the dragon revealed an embarrassed smile, thinking how hard they threw up in Michael's room, especially Nightmare. It was fortunate they have netherals to do the dirty work. Otherwise they knew he would make them clean up the mess. Somewhere else in Elon continent? Did you see that, Zanali? Peyton was watching the vast forest before her, standing on the edge of a mountain. Zanali, the red-haired princess and half-sister of Gaia, carried a face of anger as well as confusion. Yes, everyone in Breedia and Flamefair saw it. It won't take too long for the news to reach the entire Elon. He was mocking us. The Guardians were the authorities he mentioned who failed miserably. Peyton was radiating killing intent as her body was shivering in anger. His words, Peyton. The real questions we should ask are, how did he project himself? What kind of spell was he using? Was that really Nightcrawler he killed? Our mages are working on it. As for the Nightcrawler, it was that brute Nesta's assignment. After Lucifer's little show on Royal Land using Jerdy's body and netherals, he just made the top of the priority list. But it also tainted our reputation. According to our spies, more than a few really believes the nobles were killed by the Guardians. It is the truth, Peyton. We went too far. We shouldn't have killed those nobles. You never understand, do you? Peyton said coldly, turning her gaze from the horizon to Zanali. You can't clean a mess without getting your hands dirty. Sometimes it's necessary for the good guys to be the bad guys to do some good. If you think the bad guys will play by our rules, you're naive and stupid. Peyton didn't hold back as her words pierced Zanali's heart like needles. At this moment, Zanali wondered what Gaia did and said could be really the truth about this world. Captain Gerard almost pulled the plug of Operation New Dawn. We cannot afford to take any more shits thrown at us by Lucifer. Increase the recruitment process. I want every prodigy or talented kid on the block to join the Guardians. We can use their love for power to our advantage. Peyton's cold words stopped Zanali's train of thought. Then the championship tournaments in 3 months would be a good place for some fresh blood. Start the screening process now. The tournament might have a chance to get delayed by a couple of months. Tell Noah about the recruitment. I'd bet he knows some freaks of nature. Sorry for not replying to your comments as I've been very busy lately. However, I did read all your comments. I will soon start to reply. Keep those comments coming. Chapter 207. After teleporting back to Flamefair, they didn't spend any time as they took off towards Icefair to go to the house of Bradley as well as attend the annual Phoenix Manor auction. In the skies, the trio occasionally noticed several groups of people in fancy winter clothes and mercenaries in armor flying towards Icefair. Considering the snowfall had worsened since he left Flamefair, Michael could barely recognize the faces in the sky through the snow. Icefair was roughly 1,000 kilometers away from Flamefair, and with snowstorm affecting their flying speed, it took them a full day to reach Icefair. Among the 4 duchies of Kethin, Icefair was a far more accomplished and fancy-looking city by far compared to the other 3 duchies. The constant war between the Rosegate, Pent Town and Flamefair was one of the main reasons for Icefair's development. The Duke of Icefair made his fortune by selling weapons, food and many other resources needed for a war to the other duchies. In simple words, Icefair was the oil that keeps the war between the others running. As they approached, large groups of travelers could be seen on the roads beneath them on the ground. As far as the eye could see, various types of people such as merchants, mercenaries, commoners and nobles could be seen sharing the roads. When the city walls appeared in their sight, Michael, Gaia, and Nightmare descended from the sky to the ground. As usual at the gates, several soldiers were standing in a line. They were there to make sure every single soul is paid an entrance toll before entry. After paying that entrance toll, entry to the city would be given without trouble. While standing in a line, Michael could feel many eyes landing on him and Nightmare on his shoulder, yet no one openly approached him. He also saw some of the merchants paying more than the entry fee to avoid the forceful inspection of their goods. The soldiers were agitated to see the dragon, but they quickly regained their composure. After witnessing them taking bribes and forcefully inspecting the goods of those who didn't bribe them, he understood what kind of soldiers they were. They were the type who loved to bully but couldn't stand to be bullied in return. Knowing that anyone who had a dragon for a pet would not be of ordinary stature, the soldiers didn't dare trouble Michael and Gaia. Hence, Michael's group was easily able to enter the city without any hindrance. Entering the city, Michael looked around the place with observing eyes. Unlike Flamefair, Icefair streets were filled with people of all classes. A group of workers was constantly shoveling the snow away from the streets to make life easier for caravans and the people. The white marble stone used to construct the majority of the buildings on each side of the street gave a unique charm to the city, as the occasional frozen water fountains and white maple trees enhanced the beauty even further. The auction won't start for another 2 days, let's find an inn and eat. I'm starving. How could you starve? The arch energy will keep your body sustained. Alright, no more meat for you then. She flicked Nightmare's head as the little dragon quickly shouted, no. Nightmare feared that he wouldn't get any more of those delicious juicy mean Ghost was giving him. Surrounded by 2 gluttonous creatures, it wasn't hard to find an inn when he could let Gaia and Nightmare follow the scent of ale and food. Arriving at a rather decent inn within the city, Michael booked a room before the inn could run out of rooms to rent. I wish we could open restaurants in every city we go and make Raylene cook for us there. Michael did not even sit on the bed to relax before she started to rush him. With a sigh, he followed her to the downstairs where they were serving plenty of local delicacies. Although these dishes couldn't hold a torch to Raylene's cooking, a warm meal in the winter had to be appreciated. Seated right next to Michael, Nightmare devoured a platter of roasted meat with the grace of king, much to the curiosity of everyone else around them. Michael was enjoying his salad and the warm glass of water with a smile. The reason for his smile was not the salad, it was because he was receiving badass points constantly ever since he entered the inn with a dragon. What a majestic creature. Do you know what family that young man is from? I have never seen him in Icefair before. Who do I feel like I know of him from somewhere? The 3 of them completely ignored the chattering around them. Looking at the dragon, many young misses in the inn let out a depressed sigh. They stared at the dragon with a look of envy on their faces. Waiter, bring me another plate of this roast. Coming right up, Miss. Gaia didn't even bother to look up to see Michael's reaction as she continued to eat the platter of food in front of her. The rate at which the food was devoured was almost as she had been starved for several days. That salad any good? She asked, gawking at his bowl of salad after devouring the food on her side of the table. Why, you want this? Let me take a bite. Just as she was moving her hands towards his bowl, the waiter came to her with the dishes she ordered to save Michael's salad. Eventually, after the snake and the dragon filled their bellies, they left the inn, taking a stroll around Icefair. As they walked, Nightmare's little head swiveled back and forth. He took in all the sights while curiosity filled him. Plenty of people on the streets found themselves turning their heads to look at Nightmare. Plenty of surprising whispers could be heard, and many young girls made less than discreet comments at the dragon and at Michael. There had been several young daredevils who tried to flirt with Michael, but each and every one of them had been chased away by Gaia with a punch to their faces. For fuck's sake, this city is filled with shameless horny bitches, Gaia cursed after sending a young girl flying with a kick to her butt. At that moment, a drumming sound could be heard from the front as a group of red-robed men came striding through the city with a huge clamor. The scene looked like a wedding concession with a festive celebration, but the contents of their words caused everyone on the streets to feel stunned. Good news, everyone. Our Phoenix Auction Manor will be auctioning off 2 epic-class spells in the upcoming annual auction. The man leading the group was speaking through a giant, gold horn with a blast of sound that could be heard in all directions. What? The Phoenix Auction Manor has 2 epic spells to sell, is that true? Heavens, more have appeared? And there's 2 of them at the same time, did I hear that right? If the auction is going to be selling one of those, we must go and inform the Lord. This annual auction is getting better and better. I wonder what else they have in store to auction. Following the announcement, the people began to chatter more and more with excitement. There was no doubt that the news of 2 epic spells would soon spread farther and farther as well. "I bet this is just a warm-up," Gaia said after the announcement group disappeared from their sight. Regardless of the city being full of people, Michael saw no quarrels or battles in the city. Instead, it seemed the mercenaries and the young masters of the rich families had kicked their arrogance down a notch. Even they realized that one could never be too sure if one would meet a civilian or a person one could not offend. After all, men of great strength did not need to reveal it to the public. Let's get back to the inn. Eventually, when the nightfall came, the snowstorm sent the people running to their homes searching for a warm place. Considering the trio didn't come across anything worth investigating, Gaia wanted to return to the inn. Nightmare was already deep in sleep after a hearty meal. Except for the poor soldiers who had to keep patrolling the streets, Michael saw no people in the streets on their way to the inn. His black clothes almost turned white in the snow. After dusting all the snow off of his clothes and Gaia's hair, he entered the inn and then to his room. Stop! Suddenly he stopped at the entrance to his room. What? Gaia asked, seeing him raise his brows. She held the sleeping Nightmare in one hand and took out the dagger in the other. Someone was here before. He pointed at the ground as she saw a faint mark of a boot print coming out of the room. Unless the inn appointed anyone to clean their guest's room without their permission, she knew someone went inside their room. No one should have entered the rooms, especially during this auction time, she whispered. He nodded before pushing the door open. His environmental scanning did not reveal any life signs inside the room that meant whoever was there has long gone by now. When he entered the room Causticity, the room was just as he left except for a letter with golden outlines and red wax seal. They moved towards the letter slowly. That's the seal of House Bradley, she said when she saw the two-leaf symbol on the wax seal. It was the symbol of none other than the House of Bradley. It seems Lord Malin couldn't wait to see you, human. Chapter 208. Michael picked up the letter. He could feel a metal card inside the letter. Carefully tearing the letter open without giving a damn about a letter opener, he started to read the words written on high-quality paper in beautiful handwriting. Hey kiddo, little birdies told me you're here in Ice Fair. If you're here at this time, I guess you came to the auction, and I like to think you'll also visit us. Pardon our method of reaching out to you, as we are currently dealing with a delicate situation in which you can help us out. Come meet us after the auction. P.S. I have left something you might need to get into the auction, Lord Malin. He lifted the letter as a card made of silvery metal landed in his hand. The 1-inch thick card had the symbol of House Bradley etched on it. Nice, a VIP access card. Gaia recognized the card in a single glance. Except for the auctions that happened in Nagaland, she never had a VIP card outside. It was not because she couldn't afford it, but being a VIP kinda attracted people's attention and she liked to be anonymous when participating in auctions. What did he mean by "I need to get into the auction"? Reading those words, he couldn't help recalling his little fiasco with Lord Julius in Phoenix Island. When he met Julius, he was a core strengthening stage level 5, and if he now reached level 8 or even level 10, Michael didn't give a damn, as he would reach that in a few months. He hoped Julius let go of whatever grudge he may have been holding against him, as Michael would hate to kill him because he would rather use Julius and his operation to his advantage than killing him. However, if Julius chose to do otherwise, Michael would plot a plan to replace him with one of his subordinates in the future. Unlike young masters like Noah, who would go on a killing rampage because of petty grudges, Michael liked to kill fewer people and use the infrastructure they've built over years to his own benefit. This would prove useful in the long run. For example, Julius has set up a perfect operation of trade among continents, and killing Julius and all of his people would crumble this operation to dust. But if Michael was to replace Julius as well as few others with his minions, the entire Phoenix auction manor would work for him. I'm gonna get shut-eye. Wake me up early in the morning. He'll cultivate. Some of us don't have the privilege of a war god body like some lucky bastards. He just waved off before placing a system store-bought silk quilt on the bed. Gaia sat on the ground in a meditation posture to cultivate, while the little dragon hovered between them, trying to decide whether to sleep with Michael or cultivate with Gaia. Looking at Nightmare's dilemma, she just grabbed him by his tail. You're gonna cultivate with me. It's a shame that you're still in body refining stage level 1. Slowly absorb the energy coming from this, she said, taking out the bone of the fusion stage cultivator that Michael brought from the Nether realm. System, can I also boost Nightmare cultivation speed by 40%? Yes, familiars will get the boost as well as your chosen subordinate. The host's current chosen subordinate is Gaia. The host can currently boost the cultivation speed of 2 subordinates. Great. System, boost Arius cultivation speed. I will bring some resources to Raylene when I get back to the sect. I can feel it. I'll reach level 9 in a couple of weeks. I'm awesome. Gaia proudly exclaimed, looking at Nightmare. She had no clue that her cultivation speed was being boosted by Michael. Coupled with her innate talent, the 40% boost can let her match Michael's cultivation speed itself, as he couldn't go on a killing spree every single day. The night quickly passed. Dawn somewhat broke the dark winter skies from the horizon, marking the opening day of the Heavenly Phoenix auction, which had long since opened its gates. The giant gates had been decorated with ribbons and lanterns as both people and workers streamed in and out of the building. In the distance, quite a few dressed-up people stood there, waiting for the auction house to open. Today was the day of the annual auction at the Phoenix Auction Manor. In the past, this had always been the busiest day for the Phoenix Auction Manor, but today they had the 2 epic spell scrolls and various unique items for sale. This year was even livelier than the years before. Regardless of the rain of cold snowflakes, there were already many people waiting by the gates. The Phoenix Auction Manor building was exceptionally tall. Despite being only 3 stories tall, it had already reached several dozen meters higher into the air than of a typical 5-story building back on Earth. Just like most of the buildings in Icefair, it had been also built using a marble-like shiny white stone and decorated with sky-blue windows. On top of the great big gates to the auction house was a 3-meter-tall board that had the 3 words Phoenix Auction Manor written in fancy calligraphy. More and more people began to gather at the Phoenix Auction Manor and filled up the nearby streets. Caravans found it extremely difficult to get by or find parking. Many people had been waiting for at least 2 hours before the ear-splitting sounds of a gong and firecrackers could be heard. This year's annual auction had finally begun. The auction this year wasn't like the past auctions. In the past, there was no fee to enter the auction house either to participate in the auction or just to watch it. However, because of epic spells and the uniqueness of the items, the admission fee this year hiked up to 50 gold coins. This was not the amount a villager or farmer could afford, but again, this was not a place for the poor. Although this hike in prices made many people unhappy, it did not deter the people with money in their pockets. At the same time, it had gotten rid of the people who were merely there to watch the show and not buy anything. In this way, there was enough room for all the rogue cultivators and mysterious figures that were extremely interested in the items. After the gates opened up for the auction house, the people who already had tickets and waited outside for a very long time began to enter through the entrance in a straight line. On the other side of the buildings, there were much fewer people and all of them wore elegant clothes that basically screamed nobles. VIPs, please come this way. A young man was standing near the entrance, screaming his heart out. Since Michael had a VIP access card thanks to Lord Malin, he walked towards the VIP entrance. He waited until the nobles in the line before him entered the auction house. As he reached the inner halls of the Phoenix Auction Manor, ignoring the nobles' shocked look at Nightmare, a large expansive area greeted his eyes. The place was filled with neat rows of seats for as far as the eye could see. It was clear that the number of seats had surpassed 500. The area had 2 stories worth of seats, and the 2 stories combined had a total of over 1,000 seats. Installed on the sides of every seat were dozens of private rooms for the honored guests, each separated by a tinted glass wall. From the inside they could still clearly see the outside, but no one on the outside could see what was happening on the inside. That way, Gaia showed him the stairs to get to the 2nd floor where the private rooms for the VIP guests were located. However, just as he was about to walk the stairs, he noticed a lady in red robes eyeing him and murmuring something with the young man who let Michael in. It was obvious they were talking about him as they did not take their eyes away from him. Soon afterward, the lady walked towards him with a rather stern look on her face. Gaia frowned looking at her expression because she was full of smiles when she let the other VIP guests in. "Ghost, I assume," the lady in red robes said. She was the first one to completely ignore Nightmare as she didn't even look at the dragon standing on his shoulder. "Yes, it seems we have to check your VIP status. Is there a problem?" He folded his hands against his chest as a sign of irritation. "The auction will begin in 3 hours. If you want to auction your items, please seek out our manager Miss Vargas on the 1st floor. A voice of an elder sounded throughout the building. "Tell them, he'll be there in a few minutes," the red robes woman said as he realized the woman before him is the manager of this branch, Miss Vargas. "Well, this saved me the trouble of finding you to auction this." His goal was today to auction the rare herbs he found at the treacherous ocean and some of the rare spells he got from the Nether Realm. By doing this, he would get richer and use the gold coins to develop his business empire. Because of this plan, he first wanted to tempt this lady for her to stop acting like a bitch. Only if she still continued to act this way he would leave this place, but if he walked out of this place, the name Julius would certainly make its way into his kill list along with this woman. Her stern look took a turn as her brows arched up when she saw the silk apples in Michael's hands. The fragrance of the fruits instantly made her mouth water. Just a single glance could tell her that these fruits were at least 2,000 years old. An alchemist would buy the silk apples instead of an epic spell any time of the day, and she just saw Alchemy King Gabriel's disciples settling in one of the VIP rooms. Choose wisely, Miss Vargas. Petty grudges and lose a valuable customer, or wipe the slate clean and make some sweet money. Chapter 209, This is. Vargas reached out to grab one of the silk apples in the basket. Michael had a total of 30 apples, but he chose to auction only 5 because according to the system, it could extract the seeds from the other apples and help him grow silk apple trees after it reached version 4.0. The probability of getting healthy seeds out of a silk apple was 40% according to the system, therefore Michael decided to keep most of the apples instead of auctioning them. However, before she could touch an apple, he pulled the basket away from her. Congratulations, Master Ghost, we have checked your VIP status and are honored to offer you a permanent VIP status of your own, as you don't need to carry the VIP card of the Bradley family anymore. It was really surprising how Vargas' expression changed in a blink of an eye. Unlike before, she was now grinning ear to ear. After all, she was a businesswoman who knows what's good for business. Her change of character wasn't a big shock to him because after his time spending with the merchants in this world, he knew these merchants are cunning, shameless, and do almost anything if it brings profit to them at the end of the day. It also revealed Michael 2 things. She wasn't under a strict order of Julius not to let him anywhere near his Phoenix Auction Manor houses, and she wasn't as good as she's thinking. Otherwise, she would have behaved like this from the beginning and not like the bitch she was before. My assistant here will give you your VIP access card after the auction. Make it black. As you wish. Vargas' grin grew wider as she sighed a sigh of relief. Michael nodded approvingly before handing over the basket of silk apples to Vargas. She grabbed the basket as her life depended on it and held it against her ample chest tightly. Remember, we are not selling the apples, we're auctioning them, Gaia said with a cold tone. Just like in any other auction house, the Phoenix Auction Manor too had 2 options for the sellers to choose from. They could either sell the items to the Phoenix Auction Manor or auction the items in events like this. By choosing the latter, the sellers had to pay a small fee before the auction and a small cut in the gold coins after successfully auctioning the item. Those who want to make gold coins quick and hate to pay a cut could choose the option to sell. There was no downside for this option, as the Phoenix Auction Manor was trusted by people to give them the right price. They wouldn't sully this reputation by swindling their customers, downplaying the value of the item like in pawn shops. However, if one decided to auction the item instead of selling, the starting bid price would be always somewhat less than its actual value. If bidders chose not to go for high bids and the item ended up being sold way cheaper than its actual value, there was nothing the seller could do except take the bid money. This risk would be greater when superpowers compete for the item, as they would often intimidate others not to place bids more than them if they took a liking to the said item. Plus, selling the items instantly was always a great way to remain anonymous, as the deal would happen between the auction house and the seller, no third parties included. In the method of auction, however, the bidder, the representative of the auction house, and the seller would meet in the same room for the exchange of money and item. If the bidder chose to pursue the seller or the seller chose to get the item later on from the bidder's corpse, there would be a problem. End of the day, it boils down to the rarity of the item, the number of gold coins, and the greediness of either party included in the deal. But auctioning it is, Michael interrupted Vargas when she was about to speak. And put these in the auction too. The next moment he made Vargas' heart almost jump out in shock by taking out a few 3,000 years old herbs such as storm leaf, bitter barberry, river chicory, and ash bloom. He plucked these from the treacherous ocean. Her body became rigid. Whoa! Vargas gasped. Either of these herbs could go for 300,000 gold coins minimum. Yet she also knew that alchemists like them rarely auction rare herbs such as these. She couldn't help but wonder why he's auctioning these herbs that most alchemists consider priceless. For other alchemists, they were indeed priceless, but for him, these were just overrated junk because he could get the same medicinal qualities these herbs provide from common plants which weren't even acknowledged as herbs by the alchemists in this world. That's all. I'll see you after the auction, Michael said before leaving her to get to his VIP room. When they disappeared from Vargas' sight, he grabbed Gaia's hands, halting her steps. Go sit with the crowd. Why? Nightmare asked cluelessly. The little dragon saw an evil grin slowly emerge on their faces. I'll contact you through the earbuds and keep you updated. Gaia nodded as he placed his hand on her face. System change her face. Gaia felt the familiar tingling sensation underneath her skin as she could feel her face changing. Change your face again before meeting me after the auction. Even without Michael explaining what he was thinking, she knew exactly what he wanted her to do. In fact, she always did that for fun when she was a rogue cultivator, but now she could have fun as well as get rich. After Gaia went to sit with the commoners and lesser nobles, he and Nightmare walked up to the stairs reaching the second floor. The second floor of the auction hall, was where all the private rooms were located. Those who had the privileges of staying in one of those rooms were all wealthy people with great influence. This time we have to get something nice. My family gave me quite a chunk to get a weapon for the upcoming tournaments. Nice. I heard they sell some great-ass weapons in the auction. Michael was the first to enter the second floor, but soon many youngsters and elders reached the floor from other entrances. Michael quickly grabbed Nightmare, putting him inside his coat pocket. Only a few of them were able to take a glance at Nightmare before he disappeared into Michael's pockets. They stared at Michael, murmuring among themselves before entering their VIP rooms. Michael just slowly walked past each room as he soon came in front of a door that had the symbol of the Bradley family etched on it. However, he didn't enter the room as the others did but waited for the corridors to become empty. Considering the VIPs were far less than the lesser nobles and commoners participating in the auction, after waiting for 15 minutes, one couldn't see a soul except Michael. Spy my little spiders. He retrieved the spying little spiders from his system storage and let them crawl through every VIP room in the area. Only after every single spider reached their respective room to spy, he entered the room allocated for him. The decoration within the private room was simple. There was a long solid wood table right in the center, and in front of the table there were a few big fancy sofas. In front of these sofas there was crystal clear glass. He could see the entire auction hall as well as the stands on the center stage of the auction hall while sitting on the sofa. On the center stage, a bunch of youngsters, the majority of them were girls, still bringing more and more stands covered in red cloth to the stage. A few of them contained the herbs Michael gave to Vargas. At the moment, there was a huge piece of cloth covering the majority of the stands, making everyone unable to see what was hidden underneath. After some time, the auction hall had been completely filled up, with every last empty spot being crowded with people standing close together. Just as the final seats were taken and everyone had settled down, a golden eruption of fireworks exploded overhead, instantly calming down the noise. After that, an old man in a gray robe slowly descended from above and landed right onto the stage. The old man was in his 50s, and his sleeves fluttered with every soft breeze passing by. His oily face carried a friendly smile, leaving a good impression on all those who watched him. The clothes covering the items also slowly started to ascend into the air, revealing the items to the crowd. The elder's eyes swept the audience as he cleared his throat and loudly announced, "Honored guests, I thank you all for participating in our Phoenix Auction Manor's annual auction. I, Goran Lanyon, will be the host for this year's auction, and so I hope everyone today will be able to see an item they will want to buy." The elder paused for a moment to clear his throat once more before continuing to speak. This year the Phoenix Auction Manor has seen its busiest year. That is because this year, we shall be auctioning off many precious items that our Phoenix Auction Manor has already announced and many more that we just acquired. Trust me, even this old man has only heard about some of these items only in legends. I hope you've brought your pay cubes with you, the old man joked as a small tremor of laughter reverberated through the hall. What these items are, I am sure many people here are already aware of. So I will not waste any more time describing them, but I will give you a detailed explanation about the new items to the best of my knowledge. When the elder was speaking, he had used his arch-force to magnify his voice so that everyone in the auction hall would be able to hear it. The old man continued to explain the rules without stopping. What a talker, hurry up and start the auction. Yeah, I'm going to fall asleep. Many people couldn't take it anymore as they began to shout at the old man. But the old man did not give a shit until he preached every single rule about the auction. Alright, I think everyone should have a clear understanding of the rules now. Let the auction begin. At the sound of the elder's words, 10 men suddenly walked toward the stand, encircling it. Their eyes stared coldly at the audience as if showing off their positions as bodyguards. Finally, Michael stopped playing with Nightmare to take part in the auction that's going to give him something interesting. Keep guessing, my dear readers, keep guessing. I can give you a clue. Abyssal. Chapter 210. Honored guests, we shall now auction away the first item. What this hidden item is, I will reveal it to you now. With that, the old man extended his arm to grab the cloth and abruptly tore it away to reveal a small vial bottle. Inside the small vial, a silver liquid glowed, lighting the entire stage with its light. The very first item is the Radiant Soul Healer. For the honored guests who are unfamiliar with this item, it is hard to come by medicine that has the healing effect of 100 high-quality healing potions combined. As its name suggests, it could not only heal physical wounds but it could also heal any soul damages to a certain point. The starting price of the miraculous once-in-a-lifetime item has the starting price of 50,000 gold coins. Minimum 5,000 increase per new bid. You may begin bidding. 55,000 gold coins, 60,000 gold coins, 70,000, 75,000 coins? Just as the host finished speaking, the people in the audience immediately started to fight over the Radiant Soul Healer. This potion was indeed superior in every way compared to the healing potion Michael brews. This potion required extremely rare herbs to brew. He could make more gold coins by selling normal healing potions than searching for these rare herbs, which was a waste of time in his opinion. Of course, he could always buy the herbs from the system store, except the system's price for each herb was ridiculously high. As Michael sat and watched the people around him fight for the medicine, there was a faint smile on his face. He realized this auction is going to make him richer than he was initially expecting. After a fierce battle, the bottle of Radiant Healing Potion was sold to the highest bidder for a price of 95,000 gold coins. The whole audience became silent for a few moments after the first item. Everyone stared at the auction stage, waiting for Goran to bring out the next auction item. Surprisingly, the old man didn't give another long-winded speech or any description about the item. Instead, he just pulled away the cloth, revealing a glowing long sword. The long sword was constantly producing a buzzing sound, and it was trembling from within to escape the glass box. Many people could identify that it was a rare weapon with a single glance. Any weapon that was above uncommon class was extremely scarce and expensive in the Elon continent, because in the Elon continent, there were only a handful of blacksmiths who reached 3-star or star levels above it. That handful of blacksmiths rarely sold anything they made in auctions like these, since they all tend to sell the weapons to only a certain people they wish to. Therefore, it was very difficult for a rogue cultivator or one who doesn't have a powerful background to obtain a rare weapon. The last time Michael saw these weapons in action was at Nether Realm. They were quite powerful, yet he wasn't interested in them as the people sitting downstairs. This is a rare weapon, and the starting price is 100,000 gold coins. Each new bid must be increased by 10,000 coins. Do I have 110,000? 110, 120, 000 coins. The audience sitting downstairs kept bidding. Some people had earned quite a lot of money during many trade fairs around the continent, and they didn't have a rare weapon. Therefore, they wanted to buy one now. The auction house did, after all, have to consider everyone's feelings. If the entire auction was all about exceptional and precious items that only people in VIP rooms could afford, those people downstairs would only be bystanders. Hence, the auction started auctioning some ordinary items. It also served to make the atmosphere livelier. The special guests on the second floor were all quiet. They didn't pay any attention to the sword. They knew that the auction had just started, and the items shown at the initial stage would just be some ordinary items. The real deal would appear later. Noah, why aren't you bidding? Michael was surprised to see Noah, Alicia, the golden Babaru named Norvin, and Maisie, the little girl who tried to take Nightmare for herself in the Nether Realm. He felt Nightmare's body heat rising looking at the mirror in his hands. So they are also here, Michael thought. He kinda expected to see familiar faces like them. After all, this was a major event in the Elon continent. I don't want another rare weapon, Noah waved off Norvin. In the auction hall, a rogue warrior won the rare weapon for 200,000 gold coins. This was basically the standard price for an ordinary rare weapon. There were, after all, different qualities amongst all rare weapons. For example, a rare weapon forged by a 5-star blacksmith would be far more superior and powerful than a rare weapon forged by a 4-star blacksmith. There was nothing special about the next items, they were all some rare category spells and some ordinary pills. The auction continued for nearly an hour, but none of the special guests on the second floor had started bidding yet. On the other hand, the atmosphere downstairs had become heated. All the warriors were yelling and shouting their bids. People began to fight over item after item, especially for the ones that were rare and very hard to come by. Among all of these items, not a single one of them interested Michael or Noah. Alright. All the previous treasures were mere appetizers. Next up will be the real deals. Everyone, please hold your breath, try and guess what this is. The host suddenly stopped speaking as his eyes swept over the audience. Almost as if everyone was one huge collective consciousness, the whole audience concentrated on the stand in front of the old man. Compared to the other stands, this stand took up a lot of space on the stage. The old man smiled, walking beside the stand. The old man looked small standing near the cloth-covered stand. The stand was at least 7 foot tall and 10 feet wide. If we received this item earlier, we would have promoted it just as we did to the epic class spells, the audience gasped. Through the mirror, Michael could see even the VIPs standing straight, taking an interest in the item. He too wasn't an exception. There was a huge red cloth covering whatever was inside, making it so that no one could see what was underneath it. However, a huge protrusion underneath the cloth allowed many people to guess just what was being hidden. Everyone in the auction hall had their eyes glued to the red cloth-covered thing. As the old man slowly took the black cloth away, the hidden object underneath was finally revealed to the eagerly anticipating crowd. Underneath was only the pitch-black colored body of a magical beast that weirdly resembled the Tyrannosaurus Rex. A few of the closer and more observant guests could clearly see the small black wings on the back of the magical beast. This magical beast was just quietly lying inside the cage, completely still. Its body was about 9 feet long, 6 foot tall. This was when the beast was lying, not when standing on its 4 legs. If it was standing, it would be at least 12 foot tall. Don't tell me that this is the fusion stage magical beast. Fusion stage magical beasts actually look like this? It's clearly dead, but how could it still radiate arch energy? Today is the day that I finally got to see a fusion stage magical beast. It really is a fusion stage magical beast carcass. It seems like a Blackwing Saurus. Human, we must get this corpse no matter what, he heard Gaia's voice through the earbud. She sounded extremely excited. Definitely someone from your end will get this, just make sure you know who. He could tell she was suppressing her voice so no one near her would hear her. It was no secret to Michael that if a cultivator and a magical beast of the same stage fought, most of the time, odds were at the side of the magical beast because the magical beast has a tougher body, more resistance to spell damage, and innate abilities. Magical beasts were also very different from humans, as they would usually stick to their own areas instead of strolling out and about. If they did come across any humans, those humans would surely die. He knew how powerful a fusion stage cultivator could be after traveling with Layla. If it wasn't for the system leaving a mark in her soul that prevented her from hurting him, he would have shred to pieces in a blink of an eye when she attacked him. She was the most powerful cultivator he had ever met since he came to this world. A few Vena notes from her could kill 100 core formation warriors in a few mere moments. So he was able to imagine what damage a fusion stage beast could do. After the fusion stage magical beast was revealed, the originally quiet auction house instantly buzzed to life. Everyone's gazes gathered on the fusion stage magical beast's body lying on the stage. The sounds of intense discussion and gasps of amazement overlapped ceaselessly. Among the people present, quite a few had lived for dozens of years, yet had never seen a fusion stage magical beast before now. Ladies and gentlemen, suddenly the old man's voice spread throughout the entire auction house. After these words, the loud and chaotic auction house gradually calmed down. The old man standing on the stage smiled as he looked at the hundreds of thousands of people attending the auction and loudly declared, "Ladies and gentlemen, this magical beast in front of me is indeed the fusion stage magical beast Blackwing Saurus. Although it has already lost its monster core, it is still a treasure. I'm sure that everyone sitting here knows that eating a fusion stage magical beast's meat for a long period of time will not only strengthen your body but will also improve your cultivation speed. A talented blacksmith could forge powerful weapons and items using the skin and bones of the magical beast. Don't forget that consuming a potion or pill made using the parts of this beast would significantly decrease the chances of meeting bottlenecks in your cultivation journey. However, what I'm going to tell you next is what makes this magical beast truly special." Including Michael, everyone was on the edge of their seats expecting the old man's next words. Many people in this world had reached the end of their lives trying to break the bottlenecks between two cultivation stages. The chances of meeting bottlenecks after breaking through to the core formation stage were higher than any other stage. Because of this, many were stuck on the core formation stage trying desperately to break the bottleneck to reach the next stage. Although the chances of stumbling upon a bottleneck at the core formation stage were higher, it doesn't mean there are no bottlenecks in the stages after core formation. The skin of this Blackwing Saurus can withstand a tremendous amount of damage. Even our warriors and mages of the core strengthening stage couldn't cut through the skin, and they attacked with rare class spells and weapons. After hearing the host's last sentence, the originally calm auction house once again burst into a clamor. Everyone was staring intently at the fusion stage magical beast on the stage, filled with feelings of desire and greed. At this time, everyone imagined one thing: an armor made of Blackwing Saurus skin that could make them nearly invincible before a freaking core strengthening stage cultivator. Chapter 2:11. The very next moment, the host's voice resonated through the air once more. Right now, the Blackwing Saurus will be auctioned. The starting bid is 300,000 gold coins. Every time a new bet is proposed, it must be at least 10,000 gold coins higher than the previous bid. I bid 310,000 gold coins. As soon as the host finished his declaration, a bid was immediately heard from one of the VIP rooms. 320,000 gold coins. A voice from another VIP room declared. 330, 350 000 coins. 400 000, one after another, frighteningly high bids rang out from the VIP rooms in the auction house. Currently, None of the people sitting in the general area of the auction house could interject. If one wanted to purchase the Blackwing Saurus, they not only had to have enough money, they also had to have a certain amount of strength. Otherwise, as soon as they left the auction house, the Blackwing Saurus would get stolen from them. That's why the people fighting over the Blackwing Saurus right now had to have reached a certain level of power, and were not at all concerned about it being stolen from them. 500,000 coins, the fight over the Blackwing Saurus was extremely intense. In just the blink of an eye, the price had already risen to the astronomical value of 500,000 gold coins. Moreover, it was still rising without showing any signs of stopping. 600,000 gold coins. This Blackwing Saurus will be our Foxlows. If anyone dares to fight us for it, they'll make the entire Foxlow clan their enemy, a deep voice echoed from one of the VIP rooms. Its tone was extremely arrogant, and it was evident that the person was determined to win. Foxlow clan, as in Kingdom Dreidel's Foxlow clan? It's actually the Foxlow clan. They're Kingdom Dreidel's #1 clan and are extremely powerful. Even the Kingdom Dreidel's lord is extremely courteous to the Foxlow clan. I didn't think that they'd come to attend this event. Hearing the words, Foxlow clan, the auction house immediately buzzed with conversation. Although the Foxlow clan was not a superpower of Kingdom Dreidel, their relationship with the King of Dreidel and the important noble families of Dreidel gave them enough power to become an influential house there. Haha, Foxlow clan's people, you can't say that. This place is an auction house. No matter what, it will go to the highest bidder. Our house Fisher will bid 1,000,000 gold coins. This Blackwing Saurus will be ours for sure. A slightly aged voice rang out from the opposite VIP room in response to the Foxlow clan member. Isn't the House Fisher a power from Royal Land? The House Fisher is extremely low profile. Even the royal family of Royal Land avoids clashes with House Fisher. Yeah, I remember a few years back, one of the rich, spoiled princes offended a young miss of the House Fisher, and the prince was mercilessly beaten by the miss bodyguards. Everyone thought the royal family would be outraged at House Fisher, but instead, the royal family issued an apology notice to House Fisher. No shit, it said that the House Fisher is actually the strongest family in Royal Land. However, because they're extremely low-key, they normally don't show themselves, to the point where some people have never even heard of them. You're absolutely correct. I wasn't aware of them until I went to Morningstar and met Alex Fisher. House Fisher. Isn't Selena's boyfriend's name Alex Fisher? Michael thought after the little quarrel among the VIPs. After the House Fisher had spoken, the only sounds heard were of a few people discussing among themselves. For a while nobody else bid. Even the previously determined Foxlow clan had suddenly fallen mute in a period of hesitation. Royal Land House Fisher. Michael took a mental note of this family. Based on the scene unfolding in front of him, he could already see that the House Fisher was quite powerful. After a moment of silence, an extremely energetic middle-aged man finally said from within another box, I didn't think that the House Fisher would be so interested in this Blackwing Saurus. In that case, our House Oswin won't enter this fight over this magical beast. I hope that the House Fisher will return the favor by not bidding for the next item. Of course. We won't participate in the battle over the next one. The slightly aged voice from the House Fisher could be heard once more, this time with a hint of a smile in his tone. In that case, our House Oswin won't bid for this Blackwing Saurus. Our Morningstar sect will also give up on it. After House Fisher's declaration, powers that weren't at all weak began to give up on the fight over the Blackwing Saurus one after another, giving the House Fisher some face. I thank everyone for House Fisher. An elder from the House Fisher laughed gently. Human, don't bid. Well, take the beast in some other ways. Michael heard Gaia's voice. He wanted to screw them by bidding for the beast, but he chose not to because this was not the time nor the place to make a powerful enemy for the sake of petty grudge against Alex and Selena. Besides, as Gaia said, they could always steal the Blackwing Saurus from them. After everyone stopped bidding for the beast, the Blackwing Saurus was given to the House Fisher for the successful bid of 1,000,000 gold coins. We shall now proceed to auction the next item. Bring it up. This time the old man lifted the cloth to reveal an old worn-out spell scroll. This is one of the epic spells you've all been waiting for. This spell will let the caster conjure a storm around the position of the caster. The storm will last for 2 full minutes. It can obliterate even a group core-strengthening cultivators and heavily wound a soul-refining cultivator. The people in both downstairs and the VIP rooms gasped in shock as the host continued. For the obvious reasons, we cannot let one of our mages cast the spell. But you can imagine its power from what I just said. For 2 whole minutes you'll be a god of thunder. The starting price is 500,000 gold coins, with each minimal bid being 20,000 gold coins more. As soon as the host finished talking, a frightening amount of prices started to be called out from the audience. Perhaps it was because this was one of the epic class spells, everyone started to battle it out even more intensely than before they did for the Blackwing Saurus. Quickly, the original price of 500,000 had reached up to triple its amount. 5 million, 6 million inch. In a few moments, the price of the spell had reached a price of 6 million. Hearing the endlessly increasing price of gold coins, the seated Michael couldn't help signing. His total wealth was only 5 million, but these families were willing to spend millions to acquire a spell scroll. Even if he wanted to get this spell now, he simply couldn't. The House Oswin bids 65 million, the Foxlow clan bids 7 million, the Golden Valley bids 73 million. The prices continued to increase as many sides continued to fight bitterly over this spell, and they increased the bid by more than 20,000 gold coins each time. Quickly, the Blackwing Saurus had surpassed the 8 million coins mark. The Foxlow clan bids 9 million gold coins. Immediately the Foxlow clan offered the high price of 9 million gold coins, making many gasps for air and shock. An epic spell was extremely rare in Elon continent, and any single epic spell could make a cultivator dangerously powerful even if the cultivator wasn't at higher stages of cultivation. Even the superpowers in Elon didn't have more than a couple of epic spells under their belt, and adding one more than their rival would always give them the edge. Hence, the superpowers went all in for the spell. Before the auction house could resume its price war, another voice called out, "The House Oswin bids 2 million. The House Oswin had one-upped the pressure on the Foxlow clan. Bang. Then suddenly, another sound came out from the Foxlow clan box. Michael saw there are a total of 5 middle-aged men and an elder sitting in the Foxlow clan VIP box. One of the middle-aged men dressed in a white robe heavily slammed his fist on the wooden table in front of him, creating an indent in it. "House Oswin, you dare to compete with us, the Foxlow clan? Fine, we'll make you regret it," the white-robed middle-aged man said through clenched teeth, a dark expression on his face. The other people had unsightly expressions on their faces. "If we continue fighting like this, I'm afraid that the epic spell price will clamber up to a point that even we cannot reach," the elder said with a downcast expression. "What other choice do we have? This fucking spell has attracted quite a few people. Now all the powers still fighting over it aren't any weaker than our clan," the white-robed middle-aged man said in exasperation. 1 million. At this moment, another voice declared a price. Seeing the price climb higher and higher, the expressions of the few people from the Foxlow clan became more and more unsightly. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed fiercely and he shouted, "Foxlow clan bids 2 million inch. Jesus Christ. I should start planning to rob these people," Michael thought, raising his brows. "Only if the host has adventured out more, you could have found a subordinate with a forger trait. Then you would have been able to forge a spell to make a shitload of gold coins," the system scolded Michael. Its voice was not at all friendly, in fact it sounded extremely annoyed. The VIPs continued to fight for the epic spell until House Oswin won the spell for a whopping 5 million gold coins. Although Michael was jealous of their wealth, he was also happy thinking that his herbs had the chance to sell for more than he had been expecting. After the Blackwing Saurus and the epic spell, everyone was at the edge of their seats waiting for the next item. Many couldn't sit still without craning their heads to scan the stage. "Something's wrong." Michael could see the genuine smile on the old man's face disappear as it was being replaced by a fake one. Almost as if he was trying to smile and look calm. The old man walked to the stand, which was not as big as the Blackwing Saurus. "Oh come on, show us the item." "Yeah, show us." The people downstairs began to shout at the old man's sloth-like movements. Finally, with a small sigh, the old man removed the cloth to reveal nothing but a round pebble. "What the fuck? I've been thinking about releasing 2 chapters a day and creating a 10-chapter privilege for 470 coins. If you show me your support by leaving chapter comments saying go for it author, I'll get straight to work." Chapter 212. When everyone looked at the round rock, they were taken aback by surprise because it radiated only the amount of energy a normal rock on the streets would. The rock had a grayish outside, and no matter how close the people looked at it, they couldn't guess what's special about the rock. "A demon soul," Michael the system said with a sliver of surprise in its voice. "A demon soul? This world has demons too?" "No. A demon is an extraterrestrial being. The system's level is too low to explain the origins of demons." "Thought so," he sighed. "However, acquiring this item would earn the host a demon subordinate with 100% Michael's previously disappointed face lit up brightly by the system's words. Yet, he was with the system long enough to know that there must be a catch behind this tempting offer. He couldn't sense any traps from the system's voice, but he knew for sure. Of course, you have to pay the system to bring the demon soul back to life from its long slumber. I'm not even a bit surprised. Just name the price, 15,000 badass points. So that rock is really a demon soul? He wasn't surprised about the price, but he was still surprised about the fact that stone is a demon soul. No, that's just a rock from space. The demon soul is inside the rock. Only the system is capable of extracting the demon soul from the rock and bringing to life, the system proudly said as it almost sounded like brag to Michael. So cliché, you know. A useless-looking thing in the auction ended up being the most op thing. It's not cliché if no one in the entire world, including the main character, couldn't use the item. You think I'm the main character in this world? He chuckled. With the system, it's the host's choice to be either a hero or a villain to this world. Now go and get the demon soul. Geez, you're so demanding. He exited the system with an amused smile. Looking at the rock on the stage and recalling the system's words about 100% loyal subordinates, he felt extremely excited as he rubbed his palms together. Everyone, our appraising team has found that this is a primordial rock. As most of you know, anything that dates back to billion years is called primordial, also known as the era of gods. Anything that belongs to that era is extremely valuable and powerful. Although you're only witnessing a sliver of energy radiation, our appraisal team is confident that with enough time, one can bring out the true potential of this primordial rock. So you guys found nothing? Someone from downstairs shouted at the host. I never heard someone try to make a rock sound so special. Gaia, go for the rock. He put his hand on his right ear, ordering Gaia to bid on the rock. The fuck are you talking about? That's just a fucking rock, she growled, but she focused all her senses on the rock to see if there's something special about the rock. So did Nightmare. Alright, if you're interested in that rock, it must be special, though I don't see anything special. But why aren't you bidding? Because I'm in a VIP room. If I bid on the rock, the other VIPs would think it must be something special and start bidding, but if someone from the downstairs bid, they wouldn't go for it. Plus, they would think you're just stupid and you are. Nightmare placed his little mouth near Michael's ear and spoke. I'll strangle you, lizard. The starting bid for this primordial rock is 20,000 gold coins. Each new bid must be increased by 5,000 gold coins. The old man himself wouldn't buy this rock. However, it came from the personal collection of Julius, so he believed it must be something special. Fuck it, 25,000, Gaia shouted from downstairs. Huh? Who is this girl? Why is she bidding on a rock? Gaia tried not to react to the comments coming from all directions. She noticed the host himself raising his brows for a second before wiping off the surprised look from his face. 30,000. Surprisingly, another gentle yet cold voice sounded from one of the VIP rooms. Michael frowned as he recognized this voice in a blink of an eye. Who is that? Nightmare asked, looking at the white-clothed beauty in the mirror in Michael's hands. Alicia, 35, Gaia shouted, gritting her teeth. Just like Michael, she too recognized the voice. Gaia wanted to jump out of the auction and strangle Alicia to death because by bidding from the VIP room, she just spoiled their plan. The host must get the item from himself before someone messes with the rock. Any energy disruptions would kill the demon soul inside. Alicia, why are you bidding on that rock? Noah asked while Gaia and Alicia were fighting for the rock. Something tells me that's not a normal rock. Stop, that's just a rock, Noah said as Michael heaved a sigh of relief. Noah wasn't wrong about the rock. The system itself told Michael that only it could bring the demon soul back to life from the rock and no one else could do it. If Noah started bidding for the rock, it would have shaken Michael's core because it could mean that Noah too has a system. However, now Michael was absolutely positive that Noah doesn't have a system. Someone else having a system would have screwed Michael's plan big time. 45,000. This time it wasn't Alicia or Gaia who bid but someone from the house Oswin. This was why Michael didn't bid, as the VIPs were starting to bid for the rock. The noble houses like Oswin were too rich, as they could spend even 100,000 or more gold coins to buy the rock just to make sure whether it's something special or not. Alicia, don't bid for the rock. We are thinking about recruiting someone from the Oswin family to the Guardians, so I would prefer if you don't offend them for a simple rock. Michael's face darkened, realizing they are going to hike up the price. However, he couldn't simply let go of this item. He prepared to go to any lengths to get an item that was recommended by the system. You will pay for this, bitch, he gritted his teeth, looking at Alicia in the mirror. 50,000, Gaia raised her hand. After House Oswin began to bid, no one dared to laugh at the bidding anymore. Except for the host, who was standing on the stage with a wide grin on his face. 100,000, the elder from House Oswin doubled the bid as the people gasped again, shocked by their wealth. 105,000, Gaia was infuriated but never doubled or passed the 5,000 gold coins mark. 150, one could say that the elder is starting to be annoyed by Gaia. Girl, stop bidding, you're not going to get that rock, one of the elders from House Oswin's VIP room laughed at Gaia. Old fucker, I'm going to get that rock and shove it up your grandma's ass. For a moment, everything stopped moving after her words resounded through the hall. The people were dumbstruck as their jaws almost dropped to the ground. What are you doing? Michael quickly asked. He was struggling to decide whether to laugh or knock her on the head for her bad mouth. I know these fucks, let me deal with this, she hushed Michael as he decided to let her take the lead with this. He knew she could take care of herself, and after getting the rock, they could just teleport away from Ice Fair. Considering there was a no fight inside the auction manor rule, House Oswin had to wait for them outside, but she could just change her face to escape their wrath. Unless House Oswin brought a soul refiner or anyone above the soul refining stage, no one could see through her mask. How dare you? The elders of House Oswin shouted as loud as they could in boiling anger. Their faces turned blood red as Michael saw one of them punch the table in front of him to pieces. 155,000, Gaia placed her bid, ignoring the shouts. Girl, what are you doing? They are going to kill you, an old man sitting beside Gaia warned her. Oh my god, who is this girl? She's dead. No one disrespected a noble house like that in public like this. They are going to kill her. Yes, this is why I love auctions. Some felt afraid while many felt excited thinking about the upcoming killing. That girl is just a body refining stage cultivator, why did she provoke them like that? 100 So you old fucks want the rock for yourselves to shove it up your old asses? Before the elder could place the next bid, Gaia interrupted his words by provoking them. Again the whole hall went into death silence. They'll kill you. Gentlemen, the host felt pity for Gaia as he knew they were going to kill her, but when he saw the House Oswin was trying to start a fight, he interjected to enforce the law. Remember the rules, you can settle your scores outside the Phoenix Manor premise. And young miss, please be respectful towards your elders. Unless there's a rule saying be respectful towards the elders inside Phoenix Manor auction house, shut the fuck up and do your job. The old man quickly shut his mouth. He had no replies as there was really no rule mentioning that participants must be respectful towards anyone. Again, they never came across provoking like this in the past. 155,000 once. You are dead, you hear me? You are fucking dead. An elder screamed from his room. 100 You must love shoving rocks up your asses so much. Just when the elders were about to place the bid, she provoked them again. 155,000 twice. Shut up old fucks or I'll keep dragging your fucking family's respect through the mud. She stood up from her chair, showing her middle fingers at House Oswin's VIP room. She then turned her gaze at the host. What are you waiting for? Sell the rock to me before I find a stick to beat your old ass. Chapter 213, 155,000 going thrice. Sold to the girl with number 21. Finally, Michael heaved a sigh of relief. If it wasn't for the mask, what Gaia did would have brought a calamity upon them. Thanks to the system, she only had to get the rock from the auction house, change her face somewhere private, and simply walk out of the auction house with him. Good, we will take the primordial stone from her dead body after our men took turns with her. Not before I fuck all your women to death. Without even standing up, she just showed them the middle finger looking at the rock on the stage. Who is this girl? Noah, I think you found your match in provoking nobles, the golden Babaru. Norvin laughed. For a change, it's not going to be us running for our lives, Alicia said coldly. I've never seen a stupid girl like her before, Norvin said, munching on an apple. Unless she has a way to escape. Noah didn't think of the foul-mouthed girl as being stupid. On the contrary, he could sense she definitely has a way to escape. The next item we are going to reveal will be something that you can buy nowhere else. This is a must-buy for alchemists, but it doesn't mean warriors have no use for them. On the contrary, any alchemist regardless of their star rank could create miraculous pills and potions with these. The old man slowly pulled the red cloth of another stand to reveal a basket with silk apples and various rare herbs in it. This basket contains 5 4,000-years-old silk apples, 2,000 years old lake petal, 2 3,000 years old void chervil, and 5 4,000 years old queen grass. Every single herb is extremely fresh and retains all its medicinal qualities. Numerous outcries sounded within the auction ground when they heard the names of the herbs. Even those who weren't familiar with the herbs' uses knew that anything so old must be extremely rare and valuable. Those who were alchemists or familiar with alchemy felt a chill running through the spines as their bodies shivered. Every single herb the host named was a legendary herb that could be used to make powerful potions and pills. They also knew that these herbs only grew in places that many didn't dare to go. Are you interested? Alicia saw Noah suddenly sit up straight. She guessed that since Noah himself is a 3-star alchemist, he must be thinking to get the herbs for himself. Juicy Norvin drooled, staring at the silk apples. His eyes sparkled as he involuntarily reached his hands out at the apples. Noah's eyes stared intently at the basket. A wide grin appeared on his face. Finally, something interesting. Host Gorin, you must tell us where these herbs came from. Considering each herb's medicinal quality is influenced by the place they grew, an alchemist has to know about the birthplace of the herb. Michael saw a youngster in forest green winter robes. Behind the youngster was a group of youngsters of his same age wearing the same forest green robes. The old man knew the question came from one of the disciples of alchemy, King Gabriel himself. The appraisers had already given him a couple of places these might have come from, but before he could give the names, another calm voice appeared from another VIP room. They are from the treacherous ocean. The mere mention of the name treacherous ocean made everyone gasp in shock. Many turned their heads in the direction of the voice. They couldn't see through the glass to identify the person who just answered. How do you know? The disciples asked from his VIP room. Because I picked them from there, as he said. He retrieved the laser he used in the process of making spiders. He then used the laser to cut a small round in the glass. Everyone was speechlessly staring at the round forming up in the mirror. Because the second floor was built in an open square shape, except for a few VIPs, the rest of them could see the hole along with everyone downstairs. Soon, a little dragon came through the hole carrying a silk apple in its claws. It flew straight to the stage where it hovered above the old man's head. A dragon. Oh my God. Look at its claws, it's carrying a silk apple. Who is this person? Many mumbled among themselves. The entire auction was paused by the sudden change of events. At the moment, every pair of eyes gawking between the dragon and the VIP room it came from. Ghost, ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 3,000 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 2,600 badass points. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully being a badass. The reward is 4,500 badass points. He certainly knows how to make an entrance without showing himself, Norvin said as Maisie, the little girl, stared at the dragon without batting an eye. Her eyes slightly welled up. Alicia gently patted the little girl on the head. Human, what are you doing? Gaia asked. Promoting ourselves, and if we are lucky we might end up making friends with some of the noble houses here. Or enemies, she replied. They are the same, Nightmare said and dropped the apple as the old man quickly caught the apple. They saw the little dragon flying back to the VIP room with open mouths. Our appraisers did find out that these herbs could have come from the treacherous ocean, and now we have confirmation from a 5-star alchemist, the ghost of Rivertown himself. It's an honor to have you as our guest, young Master Ghost. The old man bowed in the direction of Michael's VIP room. He was old enough to understand why he revealed himself. He said he picked it from the treacherous ocean. Did he venture into the treacherous ocean? Oh my God, he must have. Holy shit. Including the elders sitting in the VIP room became restless, realizing the meaning of Michael's previous words. Totally worth it. The badass points kept increasing without slowing down. It put a wide grin on Michael's face. He was grateful for the disciples who asked a question that provided him with an opportunity to make an entrance. So he's here. Noah stared at Michael's VIP room. Ever since he was born, he never felt in debt to someone else other than his father and mother. However, for the first time, he felt indebted to Ghost after he heard how Ghost saved not only his sister but also his mother. When he heard everything that happened while he was away, he was shaken to the core. Noah couldn't even imagine what could have happened to his family if it wasn't for Ghost. Despite his slight disapproval of Ghost for being selfish and using his talents to make money instead of helping others, he wanted to thank him. Noah heard from Peyton how he used the Netheril attack in Rivertown to his own advantage. If it was Noah, he would have given all the healing potion for free to those who were hurt instead of using their misery to make money. Moreover, although Noah knew he didn't steal the dragon like Maisie was complaining, his fondness for the little girl made him take a dim view of Ghost furthermore. Regardless of what he thinks of Ghost, Noah knew one thing for certain: if it wasn't for Ghost, his family would have been torn apart. For saving his family, he wanted to thank him regardless of Peyton's strong disagreement. The starting price of the treasure basket is 400,000 gold coins. Any increase in the bid must not be less than 20,000 inch. The old man smiled and spoke. He glanced at the auction grounds where private conversations had erupted. So, Everyone, please place your bid. The expression of the old man did not change when faced with this completely silent situation. A warm smile remained on his face as he knew the VIPs would throw their gold coins to acquire these precious herbs, especially the disciples of Gabriel. 450,000. The silence continued for around half a minute before it was broken by a bid that was transmitted from one of the VIP rooms. This bidding price had just sounded when it appeared to have triggered a chain reaction. Bids were cried out one after another. Within less than a couple of seconds, the price was raised to 700,000. Gaia increased the price. Are you sure? Yeah, I'll monitor the VIP rooms and let you know when to stop. 800,000. Shit, it's that girl again. Alright, I want curse, she added before some nobles might back off, afraid of her bad-mouthing their family. After all, even if they did kill her, the rival families must use this to ridicule them for years. However, after hearing that she want curse, the VIPs somewhat felt relieved while many in the downstairs felt disappointed. 850,000. Noah placed the bid. The sudden leap in price immediately caused an uproar to resound across the entire auction. Michael was happy and shocked at the same time. He knew Noah's family was not a superpower, but still, Noah seemed loaded. Compared to Michael, Noah did have way too many enemies, but he also killed many and their pay cubes ended up inside Noah's space ring. Plus, he had the financial backing of the Guardian Guild, Zanali and Alicia. I need those herbs no matter the price. Noah's words put a smile on Michael's face as he gave the signal to Gaia to increase the bid. 880,000, 900,000 gold coins, House Fisher, 950,000 gold coins. The noble houses began to start using the house names to intimidate, but Michael knew Noah would back off and it worked in his favor. Chapter 214, House Kane bids 1 million gold coins for the first time since the auction started. House Kane entered the bidding war for the herbs. House Kane, huh? Michael recalled meeting Adam Kane, a prodigy of Golden Valley during Heaven's Gate competition. He was one of the 4 celebrity disciples who came to judge the competition along with Alex Fisher, Selena, and Sadie. 1 million gold coins. Noah placed the bid. Humph. 2 million inch. An elder from House Fisher harumphed before placing a bid of 2 million gold coins. 4 million. Gaia raised the bid by 200,000 after getting the signal from Michael. Sitting in his VIP room, he had no time to be happy about the ongoing bidding war as he kept monitoring each and every VIP room, trying to learn their highest bidding point. 6 million. An elder from the House Kane room bid once again, and he increased the bid with another 200,000, causing the auction site to become intense. 6 million. Those noble houses are filthy rich. House Kane and House Fisher are always at their throats in royal land. Although their rivalry runs deep, they never entered into an all-out war. An auction place is one of the few places they could fight head-to-head without risking a war. We're gonna be so rich, Nightmare laughed happily looking at the bidding war. So House Kane finally decided to join, huh? An elder from House Fisher teased the elders in House Kane's room. Michael stopped jumping between the VIP rooms and focused on the quarrel between House Kane and House Fisher. Because of Selena, it was inevitable that he would fight Alex Fisher. At that time, House Fisher may have become his enemy, but if there was an enmity between House Kane and House Fisher, he could exploit it to become House Kane's ally. We rather don't join than begging other houses to back down. Humph. 2 million inch. The elder of House Fisher's voice became angrier after House Kane ridiculed them about the earlier event where House Fisher asked House Oswin to back down from bidding for Blackwing Saurus. After calling out his bid, House Fisher elder continued, let's see who has the balls to bid against us. 5 million inch. Even before the elder could close his mouth, Gaia raised the bid by another 500,000 gold coins. Many people watching this scene turned their gazes at Gaia, who shouted at the host, what the fuck are you waiting for? Is this the way the Great Phoenix Auction Manor does things? How could you let these old fucks bully people not to bid? Shouldn't this be a fair auction? How can we, normal people, bid if those old fucks threaten to kill us if we did? Yeah, how could you? The girl's right. The Phoenix Auction Manor should condone actions such as this. Almost everyone in the downstairs started to yell and throw their shoes at the old man. Seeing this, the old man's friendly smile was replaced with a cold expression. He immediately said, attention, friend from the House Fisher, this is a fair auction. You can't disturb other people's decision. Usually, the Phoenix Auction Manor would let the noble houses fight or bully others because the Phoenix Manor valued gold coins more than the happiness of people downstairs. End of the day, bullies brought more coins than the bullied. This was the first time a girl from the downstairs almost riled up the crowd to this point. House Fisher bid 3 million. As the elders did not hear the old man's words, they placed the next bid, but the people downstairs were somewhat calmed down. After seeing Gaia returning to her seat, many followed her lead to continue to enjoy the bidding war. We have a 3 million bids. This is a once-in-lifetime opportunity. If you miss it, you're going to regret it for the rest of your lives. Does anyone have a higher bid? The old man asked. When he found out that no one else wanted to bid any higher, his face contained a smile. As a qualified auctioneer, he clearly knew that this basket full of legendary herbs and silk apples would at least reach 5 million. But because of House Fisher's threatening words, no one else dared bid further. This really pissed the old man off. Since no one else is bidding, I'll now announce, the Shangguan clan wins this for 4 million. Before the old man could finish speaking, a calm voice sounded out from Noah's room. The old man was startled for a moment, then he immediately showed a joyful expression. Damn. Who is that person? He directly ramped the price up to 4 million. Incredible. I think it's Noah who bid just now. That youngster is incredibly overbearing. Not only has he offended Aragoth and few other major powers, but he's also now going to offend the House Fisher, some who recognized Noah's voice said as his words spread across the entire downstairs. He doesn't give a shit about them as he's now a member of Guardian Guild. The audience was agitated, especially when they found out that the person who bid was that young man Noah. Ah, good. VIP number 3 has just bid 4 million. Does anyone else have a higher bid? Anyone? The old man was laughing out loud and his mood was instantly lightened. Within private room number 3, Noah was calmly sitting on the sofa. He didn't want any conflict to arise with House Fisher. He could let go of anything else but not this basket of valuable herbs. The audience burst into an uproar. The entire auction hall was filled with gasps of shock. It was hard to imagine how furious House Fisher was right now. Many noble houses had just backed off, but now there were 2 reckless youngsters who stood out and fought with them. Humph. 5 million. The elder from House Fisher snickered coldly. As a superpower and proud noble house of royal land, it would be really embarrassing if they lost to either this young man or the young girl sitting downstairs. Therefore he increased the bid by 1 million. 5 million. But just after House Fisher bid, Noah's voice sounded out from private room 3 once again. These kids are really taking House Fisher on a ride. Michael saw the elders from House Kane laughing at House Fisher. They didn't seem like they really wanted the herbs but rather seemed like they wanted to mess with House Fisher. Let's just join the party. 5 million. One of the elders placed the bid knowing that House Fisher would rather pay the price than losing to House Kane. The 5 million bid once again sent a storm through the audience. An even greater uproar arose in the audience. No one could remain calm any longer. Even the host who stood on the auction stage was so shocked that his mouth was wide open. 5 million gold coins had far exceeded the actual value of the herb basket. He didn't expect the price to reach such heights. Right at this moment, Noah and the young girl's image had become huge in his mind. He was starting to fall in love with them. As an auctioneer, if he could make the price of an item exceed the actual value, he would be able to get a huge reward. 5 million. Insane. This girl is insane. 5 million gold coins. How can she be so rich? And why is she sitting with us instead of in one of those VIP rooms? 9 million. Noah silenced the crowd with his bid. While looking at Noah's body language, Michael couldn't be 100% positive that he would go for higher bids, therefore he ordered Gaia to stand down. Michael didn't want to push his luck. It's called being filthy rich. Looks like Noah is going to get these herbs no matter what, and he doesn't even care that doing so is the same as offending the House Fisher. I wonder if the House Fisher will make an even higher bid. I don't think so. They aren't stupid. 9 million has exceeded the herb basket's actual value. Furthermore, they also don't know if Noah will make another bid. I don't think that foul-mouthed girl gonna go for the herbs anymore. Yeah, look at her. 2 reckless youngsters stood. She's not raising her hands. The audience was heated. Everyone was discussing amongst themselves. The name Noah had once again become a hot topic. Good, very good. One of the elders of House Fisher said the word good twice, and his voice was filled with rage. Anyone could tell how angry he was and how much he hated the young man. Noah, I guess you've managed to piss off a superpower once again after all. Norvin, the golden Babaru, laughed. The monkey couldn't take his eyes from the silk apples. On the other hand, Noah wasn't stupid as he knew the herb basket wasn't worth the price he paid, but what the others don't know is that he has an ancient potion recipe that requires these herbs to make. Once he consumes the potion, he would certainly increase his star level in alchemy. In other words, he paid 9 million to become a 4-star alchemist. A few moments after the basket disappeared from the stage, the door to the third private room was opened. The auction house branch manager Vargas carried a silver plate in her hand as she walked into the room. On top of the plate was a golden card. "What an astonishing deal, young Master Noah," she said with a beautiful smile on her face. "Keep this and bring it to my room on the down floors to pay and get your item." "Will do, Miss Vargas." Chapter 215. After Michael's herbs were sold to Noah, many items such as weapons, spell scrolls including an epic scroll, and artifacts were auctioned to the highest bidders. Most of the items ended up in the hands of noble houses as expected. I picked up a tail. Exiting the downstairs, Gaia saw a couple of bodyguards of House Oswin following her behind. "I put the gold into your space ring. Just get the rock and find a place to change your face. Young Master Ghost, someone is waiting to meet you," Michael said, opening the door to see the servant boy he saw when he entered the auction house. Who? He wasn't surprised, and in fact he was expecting someone to meet him. After all, he just showed everyone that he still has one silk apple remaining. The servant boy then took out the silk apple he gave to the host a while ago. The boy's hands were shaking as cold drops of sweat appeared on his forehead. He tried his best not to make any sudden movements. It was obvious that the boy was terrified of Nightmare regardless of Nightmare's cultivation level. Nightmare on the other hand just avoided making direct eye contact with the boy. The little dragon hated when people were terrified of him for no reason. On the contrary to Gaia's advice to make people fear you, Nightmare didn't enjoy making people terrified of him. "The elders of House Kane and House Fisher, young master. House Kane is waiting for you in VIP room 1 and House Fisher is in VIP room 2. If you say the word, it'll lead you to them." For a few seconds, Michael just stood there calculating the pros and cons about meeting either of them for the third time in his mind. Taking a deep breath, he decided to go with what he always planned. "Let's go meet House Kane first." That being said, the servant boy began to walk towards the rooms at the far end of the second floor. While he was following the boy, one of the oak doors slammed open as a group of middle-aged as well as old men stormed out of the room. Their black hair with strands of gray hair was neatly combed to the back while some of them sported a ponytail. Michael could smell a faint fragrance of lavender and weirdly the smell of hair gel. All of them wore a brown long coat with a silver embodiment of a panther on their chest. On their backs hung long golden spears that kept radiating an extremely low-frequency whistling sound. "I want that bitch alive. We have to make an example out of her. I've already sent the men tailing her. The moment she steps out of the auction manor premise, we'll get her." In their anger, they failed to notice Michael walking past them. House Oswin, Michael thought. He noticed that all of these men were at the core strengthening stage. If Gaia was to get into trouble with them, unless she could perform a miracle, she would be captured and probably tortured to death. Good thing she had the mask to change her face wherever she wanted. All she had to do was find the lattice restroom, change her face, put on new clothes and walk out of the room as a new girl. "They're really pissed," Nightmare commented, staring at the disappearing figures. Gradually the sound of their boots hitting the wooden floor lessened. The servant boy didn't dare to comment on the scene as he silently led Michael to a door that had a beautifully calligraphed number 1 was drawn on. The door was just opposite of the door that had number 2 drawn on. "Young master," the boy halted his steps, gesturing at Michael to enter the room. "Keep it." Michael retrieved a pouch with a few gold coins in it before throwing the pouch to the boy. Just the clinking sound of the gold coins was enough to make the nervous boy smile in excitement. "Thank you, young master." The boy grinned ear to ear as Michael entered the room after giving a gentle pat on the boy's shoulder. When he entered VIP room number 1, he was welcomed by 3 elders who had the looks of an old man in his early or mid-60s. A wide fake smile was plastered on their faces. Behind those 3 elders stood 7 bulky bodyguards. The bodyguards were armed to the teeth as Michael couldn't see a part in their body that hadn't been covered by metal. Anyone with a little battle experience could tell this much armor would restrict movement speed, especially since the wearer was just at the core formation level. A naked eye could only see 10 people in the room, but Michael could see with his environmental scanning on top of his eyes. His scanning revealed that there are 5 more level 10 core formation beings hiding in the dark corners of the room as well as above him. Nightmare also noticed these hidden beings. "System, you know the drill. If something goes wrong, buy a teleportation scroll and activate it." The host means buy 2 teleportation scrolls, right? One to teleport the host to subordinate Gaia and another one for teleport the both of you out of here. "She can change her face and get out of here," he telepathically said to the system. "Master Ghost, it's nice to finally meet a gifted youngster like you." Walter Kane of House Kane, the old man with a scar across his left eye, greeted Michael with a wide smile. "This is Edison and Martin, my fellow elders of House Kane." He repeated the words House Kane with a sense of pride and glory. Edison and Martin looked like typical old men in their 60s. Nothing special about them except for the shiny letter K embroidered on their chest. Michael shook each elder's hand firmly as they gestured at him towards the sofa. "Nice dragon," Elder Edison said, staring at Nightmare. His greediness could be seen in his eyes, yet the greediness quickly disappeared when his eyes fell on Michael. "Yeah, got him from Nether Realm. So, elders, although it's nice to see figures such as yourselves of a proud house, I can sense there's something you wish to talk about, not a person beating around the bush, huh?" "I like it," Elder Martin chuckled approvingly towards Michael's attitude of straightly getting into the business. "We do have something we wish to talk to you about. But before we do that, would like to know more about what you said earlier, especially the part where you got the herbs from the treacherous ocean." Although Elder Walter had the decency not to show his doubt on his face, Michael could see the elders' doubt as clear as a day in their eyes. "If you're thinking how the hell did a core formation guy like me survive the treacherous ocean, I didn't, at least not alone. I had the help of a fusion stage cultivator." His words immediately shocked the elders as Michael continued. "I cannot reveal his name as he likes his anonymity so much. Long story short, he wanted my alchemy skills inside the treacherous ocean in return for his word to protect me. He effortlessly lied through his teeth, but as any professional liar would do, he mixed a small amount of truth into the lie to make it believable." "A fusion stage cultivator," elders mumbled. After Michael's lie, the elders slightly leaned forward instead of leaning on their back as a sign of fear and respect, because anyone with a fusion stage cultivator as his friend must be treated with respect. The elders did know he might be lying or telling them the truth. Either way, they didn't want to get on the wrong side of this young man. If they did, the majority of House Kane would sacrifice them to avoid a conflict with a fusion stage cultivator. After all, these elders were not part of the main Kane family. However, it didn't mean these elders were expendable and powerless. On the contrary, these elders held quite a lot of power through connections and favors inside the family. It's just that this power wouldn't save them if they were to become a reason for a conflict with a fusion stage cultivator. "How else could I get out of the treacherous ocean alive?" Michael chuckled to lighten up the mood. The elders and the bodyguards also laughed with Michael. "I wonder if the House Fisher will also have doubts about my adventure into the treacherous ocean," he asked, playing with Nightmare by gently rubbing the little dragon's head. "Well, we can find out when we meet them next door." Nightmare's words caused the elders' smiles to vanish from their faces in a blink of an eye. "They're waiting for you?" Elder Walter asked, leaning forward. His usually calm face now seemed tensed. "Yeah, but I chose to meet House Kane first. So elders, why am I here?" After the elders realized that the House Fisher might be looking to meet him for the same reason they did, they chose not to waste any more time asking irrelevant questions. "We want to buy the silk apple and any herbs you still have, if you have any," Elder Walter said after Elder Martin. "I do have 2 more silk apples and a few more herbs. They'll give them to you, but I don't want gold coins." His answer didn't put a smile on their faces. Instead, it made the elders frown. "What do you want?" Elder Walter asked. "I want to be House Kane's friend. As you elders know, my growth is already making me quite a few enemies. I prefer to have more friends in powerful places rather than enemies." Surprisingly, Elder Walter grinned hearing Michael's words. In his old mind, he already decided to gamble on Ghost's future. Looking at Ghost's cultivation level at a young age, he was positive that Ghost would break into the half-immortal stage or even immortal stage. If House Kane were to ally with him from this stage, it would be House Kane who would make a powerful ally. Besides, allying with Ghost first would prevent House Fisher from gaining an ally like Ghost. Chapter 216. Just by meeting House Kane first instead of House Fisher, Michael may have pissed off the elders of House Fisher. After what he witnessed in the auction, House Fisher didn't seem like a family that plays by the rules and accepts a fair defeat. It was kinda obvious that if he beat Alex in the upcoming tournament, he would get into the bad side of House Fisher. Think of this as a mutually beneficial relationship. Although I might not look like someone who could help the great House Kane, I think you elders know my potential. The elders were surprised to see him speak what's in their minds. If anyone else tried to become their friends by trading these herbs, the elders might not have accepted the deal, but when it comes to Ghost, they immediately decided to accept the deal. "Don't worry, Master Ghost, House Kane always protects their friends and you are one of them." Elder Walter stood up, reaching out his hand for a handshake. With a grin on his face, Michael shook his hand again. He then took the silk apples and herbs. "We have a bright future ahead," Michael said, handing over the herbs to Elder Walter. In return, Elder Walter flicked his wrist as 2 6-feet-tall silver banners with a huge K embroidered on the middle appeared beside Michael. Keep one to yourself and place one in your sect. The banner will let everyone know that you and your sect are under the protection of House Cain. This banner thing worked in favor for both Michael and House Cain. As Elder Walter said, it would protect Michael and the sect, but it also symbolizes House Cain's relationship with Michael. These elders were definitely playing the long game by offering the banner as well as gambling on Michael's bright future. After taking over the world to himself, he might consider giving House Cain a chunk of it because of this deal. He would neither forget nor forgive his enemies, but at the same time, he would also remember his allies. Alright elders, I'll see myself out. There's no fun in letting you out of this room alone. Come on, I want to see their faces when they realize you chose House Cain over House Fisher. Ha! Elder Martin laughed out loud. He put his hand around Michael's shoulder like they were best friends. Michael didn't mind it. If he were to be seen with the elders of House Cain in a place like this, people would spread the word that he's a friend of House Cain faster. Considering he would leave for the southern continent soon, he had to make sure his sect and the herbal garden stayed safe while he was away. Coupled with the existence of Soul Refiner at Sunrise Sect and House Cain banner, no one would dare to attack them. However, contrary to their expectation, when they opened the door, they saw the door to the VIP room 2 is wide open. There was no one inside the room. Shit, bastards ran away to save themselves the shame. Leaving the elders of House Cain, Michael followed the nobles to Varig's room. What took you so long? Gaia was waiting for him outside, which seemed to be Vargas' room. She was wearing new clothes and her Elia face. So everything's okay? Yeah, those old fucks are still waiting outside the ladies' restroom, hee. She then tossed a space ring to Michael. Noah was here before someone from the guild came to take him away. I took the token from the ring and got our coins, thank God. Seen with him is like asking for trouble considering the number of enemies he has, he sighed in relief. The auction blessed him with millions of gold coins and a powerful ally, but if he was to be seen with Noah, it might attract the eyes of Noah's enemies towards him. Let's get out of here. They rushed out of the auction manor before House Fisher could see Michael. Plus, he was too excited to examine the primordial rock they bought. A suitable place for a runic teleportation nearby. When he stepped out of the auction house, it was already dark. The howling sound of the wind indicated to them there's a blizzard coming. Lines of carriages were waiting outside the street blanketed in snow for the nobles. Are we teleporting? Nightmare asked, looking at the weather. Oh shit, Gaia sighed, following Michael behind. When they reached a dark alley near the auction house, she saw a golden light appear from Michael's hand before disappearing into the wall. Before she could say anything, she felt the familiar vibration as she closed her eyes. When she opened her eyes, she was welcomed by Michael's darkroom in Abyssal. I need to lie down, Nightmare stuttered as he flew towards the bed to lie down while Gaia took some deep breath, controlling the urge to throw up. As the two were fighting with the urge to throw up, Michael took out the primordial rock from his space ring. It looked no different than a normal rock on a street. You cost me 155,000 gold coins. It better be worth it, Gaia said. System, do your thing. He willed the system as the rock began to tremble. Gaia walked closer to the rock to see it's radiating a faint whistling sound as well as a dim light. Extracting demon soul. 10% completed. 11% completed. Estimated time for completion is 2 days. You never told me what's so special about this rock? There's a soul of a demon inside. Yeah, what? It took a second before she realized what he just said. A demon? What the fuck are you doing? Stop it. She tried to take the stone away from Michael's hands, but he just stopped her from doing so by wrapping his one arm over her waist. Don't worry, he whispered into her ear, sending a chill running through her spine. Getting tightly held like this froze her body and mind. They had been kissing, cuddling, and hugging for quite a long time, yet every time felt like a first time to her. Do you know anything about demons? He pulled her perfectly structured body even closer to him. Although she wasn't the type of girl to blush every single time a man touches her pinky, a red shade did appear on her cheeks. Not much. I only read about them. They are bad, her words stuttered. For the commoners, a demon was nothing but a myth. However, the great clans and kingdoms like Nagaland had records about demons that weren't just stories. Aren't we? He put the rock on the table, turning his full focus on the beautiful woman before him. We are the good kind of bad. You really know what you're doing? He could still see some concerns in her eyes, but they also contained the unwavering trust. Are you gonna tell me that you learned how to bring a demon back to life from the memories of Abras? No. I'm sorry that I'm not telling you everything. I trust you with my life, Gaia, but I can't tell you. Before he could continue, she put her finger on his lips, interrupting his words. We are going to be together forever, so I'm sure that you'll find the right time to share things with me. She then took the initiative to close his lips with hers regardless of Nightmare's existence. Mama, Brother Ghost, and Sister Elia are here. Cindy screamed as loud as she could. Raylene rushed out of the kitchen to see Ghost carrying Cindy, who is carrying Nightmare in her hands. Master Ghost, Raylene shoved all of Cindy's toys, trying to make the place presentable. This house was recently built and gifted to her by the sect. Regardless of the fact this is a new home, it was filled with furniture and ornaments, courtesy of Gaia. Gaia personally decorated the house herself. The interior of the house resembled a high-end apartment. A few glass walls accompanied by white marble walls gave a majestic charm to the house. Still, it was hard for Raylene to keep the house clean due to her busy schedule. She had to go to the restaurant in Rivertown every morning to help the dwarf in the kitchen fittings, prepare food for Cindy and the children at the sect, cultivate with sect leader Claire, learn how to write and read from Elder Mark, and in the little bit of free time she had to improve her cooking skills. Of course, Gaia would come to judge her cooking by finishing all of them. Are you busy or something? Michael plunged into the sofa with Cindy in his arms. Gaia didn't sit beside him but stormed into the kitchen following the delicious smell of food. Cindy was a year older now. The baby fat in her face was slowly disappearing, but her childish behavior wasn't going anywhere. She crawled her little body into Michael's winter coat. I was just preparing dinner for everyone, she laughed. One could see the tiredness in her voice, but it was overshadowed by her happiness. Her face was brighter than usual. Master Ghost, when are we opening the restaurant? About that, I want you to hook the customers of Majestic with your cooking skills. She gawked at him cluelessly as he began to explain. A fancy building isn't going to draw the amount of crowd I want. If we are to open the restaurant with a bang, we need to spread the word of your skills to every single noble in this kingdom. This is so good. From the kitchen, Gaia howled. It was like a blind cat got into the kitchen. The sound of utensils clashing came from the kitchen non-stop. We need to make Elia out of every single noble, he said, letting out a sigh. Chapter 217, What do you want me to do, Master Ghost? I want you to make tea and appetizers. Send them to the customers of Majestic while they were waiting for their turn. Jack and his group will take care of supplying them. By doing this, we'll get them addicted to your cooking, then we'll have them flood towards our restaurant when we open. Biscuits. Michael felt Cindy's body stiffening after Gaia screamed joyously from the kitchen. The little girl let go of Nightmare. Sister Elia, those are my biscuits. Not anymore, Cindy. Cindy completely ignored Raylene's cry, rushing towards the kitchen to save her biscuits from Gaia. Don't forget to focus more on your cultivation, Raylene. We have a lot to do in this world. After giving a gentle pat on her shoulder, Michael left her house, leaving Gaia to finish her fight with Cindy. At this time, Raylene didn't know the full meaning of his words. Leaving Raylene's house, he calmly strolled around the sect, enjoying the peace and beauty of the winter. Nightmare flapped his wings, taking off to the sky from his shoulder. After Nightmare's departure, only the snowflakes and the howling sound of the wind accompanied him. There were no disciples present. He knew they were either cultivating or studying under the elders. Considering they now had a stable income as well as resources to cultivate, the disciples did not slack off but focused on cultivating. Except for the main headquarters, a huge library and a dome around the herbal garden Gaia was planning to build, the rest of the construction works had been completed. Now each elder had their own mansion and cultivation halls that would rival the big sects themselves. She really has good taste. Even with a limited budget, she turned this place around. One could not laugh at the sect for being too shabby anymore because this place looked anything but. Eventually, Michael came to his herbal garden to see Olivia dusting off snow from the leaves of the herbs. The green-hair beauty was too focused on her job as she completely failed to notice Michael. She was gawking between the notebook on her lap and the violet flower in her hand. The notebook was written by Michael himself. It was like a beginner's guide to Michael's alchemy knowledge. Violet sunflower, it's so beautiful, Olivia mumbled before gently plucking the flower. And poisonous, ah! She fell face first into the pile of snow in shock when she suddenly heard Michael's words from behind. Not a single soul was here to see Olivia's downfall. That made Michael chuckle. She quickly wiped off the snow from her face to see Michael laughing at her. Her face turned red in embarrassment. Holy God's teacher. You scared the life out of me. I did, didn't I? He helped her up from the pile of snow before taking the notebook from her hand. Teacher, I thought you were in seclusion. Her embarrassment quickly vanished away when her thirst for knowledge overwhelmed her senses. She had too many questions to ask him after studying the notebook. Initially, when he was ordering her to work the herbal garden with Elder Reiner, She had her doubts about his teaching methods, but when she began to read the notebook, she realized how important it was to work in the herbal garden. I assume you have questions for me. Just by looking at her eyes, he could tell she has so many questions for him. Her curiosity and the thirst for knowledge were so obvious on her face. Teacher, in the notebook, you mentioned that we should use Galvan Stone instead of Cockatrice Tear in heat-resisting potion. Can you explain why? You know heat-resisting potion requires Galvan salt, which is found in Galvan Stone, right? She nodded. But Galvan Stone is extremely rare, hence the potion is so expensive. Galvan Stone is not the only source for Galvan salt, it can be found in Cockatrice Tear too, just in a different state. He grabbed a handful of snow from the ground. This is water in its solid form, we call this ice. Heat it up, it will become water. The green alchemy flames emerged from his palm, turning the ice into water. Heat it more, the water will lose its liquid state and take the state of vapor. 3 states but the same element. The same goes for Galvan salt. In Galvan Stone, the salt is in its solid state. In Cockatrice Tears, the salt is in its liquid state. It's indeed a bad practice to taste the ingredients, but sometimes it'll help you identify the items or herbs with the same qualities. So lick the ingredients. Noted. She quickly took a mental note before getting her a gentle knock on her head. Just get someone who could speak and has a high tolerance for toxicity. A goblin would do the trick. Considering goblins could eat almost anything, they had a high tolerance for toxicity. Plus, they could be taught to speak the common tongue instead of a goblin. I hate slavery, so just pay the goblin a monthly salary or something he or she desires. He basically worked as a slave for drug dealers for a part of his childhood. They would always say they own him and the rest of the orphans. This made him hate the idea of owning another human being. Back on Earth, slavery was almost abolished except for a few dark shitty parts of the Earth, but in this world, although slavery was a crime punishable by harsh sentences, one could not say it's completely abolished. There was always someone secretly trading slaves for nobles for their sick pleasures. The law against slavery was only for people of the northern continents, which were Elon and Azer. Slavery was completely legal in the northern continents if the slaves are from the southern continent, also known as Midras. Michael only saw the glimpse of the slave trading between the northern and southern continents through what happened to Arius' brothers. What they did to those brothers was beyond cruel. It gave Michael the idea of what they would do to the southern girls. Sooner or later Michael knew he would need an army to face the great clans, and a promise to abolish slavery would get him the support of thousands of slaves across this world. If they could help him take over this world, he would end slavery once and for all. He was not naive to think that he could end slavery single-handedly without having real control over this world. For now, all he could do was not be the master of any slaves. Although he would have to sacrifice or bend some of his moral codes in the path to conquer this world, he would always try his best not to become the things he hates. Let's talk and walk. He continued to stroll around the herbal garden, answering her questions one by one. After answering every question she had, he understood which parts she must focus more on. He gave her a short lecture as well as another notebook containing more questions and assignments for her to do while he was away. Teacher, are you going into seclusion again? With this speed of cultivation, you're going to become the youngest core strengthening stage cultivator in Elon, she said, grinning ear to ear. Even with the little time she spent with him, she got years' worth of knowledge from him. Oh, teacher, forgot to ask, are you competing in the alchemy tournament? How many fucking tournaments are there? He thought. When is that? A few months after the championship tournament. It will be like the championship tournament for alchemists. Unlike the championship tournament, there are no age or cultivation restrictions. Who is going to judge the tournament? Michael wasn't planning to be one of the competitors but to be one of the judges. It would be more badass to judge the alchemists all over the world rather than competing in the tournament. What's the use of being a 5-star alchemist if he has to compete with low-star alchemists? Her face brightened seeing that her teacher is considering joining the tournament. She wants to see him compete and win the trophy, with her being his helper, of course. Will Gabriel be there to judge? Michael asked. Yes, of course, teacher. It will be a great honor for you to show your skills in front of him and other legends in alchemy. Show my skills? Michael chuckled as Olivia gawked at him, having zero clues about why he was laughing. If Gabriel will be there as a judge, so should I. It will be a good place to show who the real #1 alchemist of Elon continent is. Chapter 218. Leaving Olivia in one of the goose houses that they built newly, Michael went straight towards Claire's home. From the outside, the mansion looked very elegant. It had been built with oak wood and had blue stone decorations. Large, triangular windows let in plenty of light and have been added to the house in a very symmetric way. The mansion was equipped with a modern kitchen and one large cultivation room and bathroom. It also had a spacious living room, 5 bedrooms, a small dining room and a small storage room. The building was shaped like a short U. The 2 extensions were linked by a covered patio. The second floor was smaller than the first, which allowed for a roof garden on one side of the house. This floor had a different style than the floor below. The roof was high, triangular and layered, and was covered with gray wood shingles. 2 small chimneys sit at the side of the house. Large, skylight windows let in plenty of light to the rooms below the roof. The house itself was surrounded by a modest garden, covered mostly in grass, a few flower patches and a small pond. The garden was completely blanketed by the snow while the pond seemed like a glass floor. Brother Ghost, 2 male disciples who were standing outside the entrance greeted Michael when they saw him. I had no time for hiring professional bodyguards. Michael turned back to see Gaia gracefully walking towards him. There were still some biscuit crumbs around her cherry-red lips and her gray winter fur coat. Let Daniel and Ricky pick suitable candidates. I'll send them the message. Ricky and Daniel were guarding the restaurant as well as helping the dwarf with some finishing touches to the restaurant. They were now like Michael's representatives in River Town. Stepping into the house, the howling sound of the wind finally came to a stop. The interior of the house was elegant with fancy sofas from this world, chandeliers, flower vases and bookshelves. Sect leader Claire, Michael called out, standing in the hall. He could sense 2 life signs in the house. One was at the roof while the other was at the cultivation room. Ghost? Coming, Claire's gentle voice sounded from the second floor. A few minutes after, the beautiful blonde walked down the stairs with a smile. This was the first time Michael had seen her truly smile with joy. There was always a tinge of sadness deep within her eyes, but now the sadness was replaced by a fit of anger and motivation. Her cultivation stage surprised him a bit because, in a few months she had reached the body strengthening stage. Of course, the elders and Claire must thank Michael because he was constantly supplying them with potions and pills so they could cultivate faster than usual. Sit down, make yourselves at home, she gestured at them towards the sofa as Michael and Gaia plunged into the sofa. Wow, you're really giving your sect leader a hard time by cultivating this, she laughed. He expected her to sit on the opposite sofa but she seated herself right next to Michael. The very next moment, she grabbed his hands. I never thank you for saving my grandpa. The ability of Claire to create tears really surprised Michael. In a blink of an eye, tears began to roll out of her eyes. I'm not like before yet I can hold back the tears. If it wasn't for you. Her voice trailed off. I did what I had to do as the guardian of the sect. No need to thank me, sect leader Claire. Just thank us by leading the sect to the golden days, Gaia said. A burst of a chuckle came out of her, defeating the tears of sorrow. With you guys by my side, I think I can do that. He then willed the system to take 500,000 gold coins from his storage. The moment the gold coins appeared in the hall, the golden light reflected by the gold coins lightened up their faces. This will be enough for you to buy everything I need to brew the potion to cure Elder Sandra. Settling everything with Claire, they went to their house to make final preparations before leaving for the southern continent. The only thing they had left to do was visit House Bradley. Michael informed Claire that he would enter into seclusion but in reality, he would meet with Malin before leaving to the southern continent. He already bought a mask similar to Gaia's to change his face. When they opened the door to their house, they were welcomed by the sight of a light orb on their sofa. Nightmare? They looked closer to see that it was Nightmare who's radiating a bright light around him. What's happening? Michael frowned looking at the violent energy fluctuations around Nightmare's body. The arch-energy was flooding into his body from the atmosphere. He's going under dragon metamorphosis. Yes. We can leave him behind, she seemed weirdly excited as she almost bounced in joy looking at Nightmare like this. Although I didn't plan to bring him along with us, why are you so excited about leaving him behind? It's because. She moved closer to Michael. Their noses almost brushed each other. We can have some alone time. His heart skipped a beat thinking about the possibilities. The seductive voice she just used sent electricity through his spine. He couldn't wait to get on a ship to the southern continent. Can we put him in Abyssal? It's safer there. No, teleportation might interrupt the arch-energy flow. We have to leave him here. How long will he be like this? Since this is his first metamorphosis, it'll only take 2 or 3 months. System, can you teleport him to Abyssal without interrupting his metamorphosis? Sure, just pay me 50,000 badass points. The system sounded so haughty as it already knew Michael's answer. Nope, as the system expected. He declined its offer because the safety measure around Nightmare was still active. If anything threatened Nightmare, he would be immediately teleported to Abyssal. By placing the banner of House Kane, He made sure the sect stays safe from any hostile activity, but even if someone dared to take Nightmare during his metamorphosis, Michael didn't need to worry about Nightmare's safety. Sitting beside Nightmare, he took a note out from the system's storage. Gaia saw him scribbling something on the note before placing it near Nightmare. "Take care, buddy." Suddenly, in a dark alley near the Phoenix Auction Manor, two figures appeared from thin air. Michael changed his usual black armor to something from this world. A long winter gray coat with black linen breeches. He let his shoulder-length black hair dance in the wind instead of covering it inside a black hood. One could now clearly see the stubble beard he started to grow recently. The cultivators in this world had control over their beard growth. Most tended to stop the beard from growing completely, but not Michael. He liked to sport many looks instead of the same clean-shaven look. They followed the signboards in the streets to the House Bradley compound. After a while navigating through the labyrinth of snow-covered streets, he saw a huge compound not far away. As they walked closer to the house, which was filled with a majestic and imposing aura, he noticed soldiers wearing various types of armor such as light armor and heavy armor patrolling the buildings on the other side of the gigantic metal gates. Some servants were bringing what seemed to be hot beverages to the guards patrolling in the bone-chilling cold winter. Michael also noticed the lack of street urchins, commoners, or any merchant stalls on the premises. Everyone he saw was either a soldier or a servant of House Bradley. After staring at the entrance for a while, Michael and Gaia walked toward the main gate, which was tightly guarded. However, before he could talk to the soldiers outside the gate, an old man, who appeared to have the position of the housekeeper, hurriedly came through the small gate beside the giant metal gate. "Welcome to House Bradley, young Master Ghost, young Miss Elia. Please follow me." The old man surprised both of them by quickly recognizing them. Clearly, the old man knew their identities, so Michael did not waste time asking questions like how he recognized them. He just nodded, gesturing to the old man to lead the way. After entering through the small gate that the old man came through, a pretty female servant hurriedly walked out from one corner. After which, she gently said a few words to them before leading the way from in front. They followed behind the female servant at neither fast nor slow pace. Gaia seemed indifferent to the luxurious mansion, but his gaze swept over everything. The towering atmosphere of the buildings caused him to secretly nod his head. Walking on a small path that was paved by rough grayish stone fragments, his eyes suddenly narrowed slightly. From his environmental scanning ability, he noticed numerous hidden beings hiding in the dark corners of the mansion as he entered deeper into the compound. Many sharp arrowheads that were painted black to cover the reflection were slowly moving within the mansion. Any little sign of trouble would instantly cause them to send out an attack. He could tell these secret archers and assassins were noticing his every single movement. Not bad. Gaia too noticed these people and gave a small nod of approval. Following the girl, they soon came to a luxurious large hall. Their gaze passed through the unlatched door and was able to faintly see a couple of people standing within it. The young servant girl left the hall without uttering a word, leaving Michael and Gaia alone. Soon, Michael began to walk forward towards the door. He gently pushed open the door. "Finally, you're here, Ghost," that you're tuning in to the Phantom Sword Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.